The first sequence this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 776 Miserable Snowflakes. When Ren Xiaosu saw the fire logo, he roughly understood why Wang Konggyang was being hunted down. After all, it was his own doing, so Ren Xiaosu wouldn't be so forgetful. But what he didn't expect was that there was actually a T5 in the fire company that was hunting down Wang Konggyang. T5 was very valuable even to the fire company. In the Holy Mountain, there were probably more than a dozen T5s who died in the fire company. Now they even sent T5s to hunt down Wang Konggyang, which showed how much the fire company valued Wang Konggyang. T5 was seen running wildly in the wilderness. His shirt was gradually burned into pieces by the flames, and the exposed skin was gray and black, with a smoky look. His hair and eyebrows were burned off, and he looked like a vicious dog that had just crawled out of hell. Moreover, the target of this T5 was no longer Wang Konggyang, but Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun. Yang Xiaojun asked, "Use black bullets? If he sprints at this speed, it will take time to turn around, and he can't avoid black bullets." Ren Xiaosu felt a pain in his heart. "Ahem, you take a break first, let's not use black bullets for now, I'm afraid you will be tired." Yang Xiaojun pursed her lips and almost laughed out loud. She liked to see Ren Xiaosu looking for a plausible excuse when it was obviously her fault for being stingy. The next moment, Ren Xiaosu jumped out from behind the mound and ran straight to T5 without any cover. The T5 just calculated Ren Xiaosu's speed, sneered in his heart, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. The human in front of him was not his opponent. A sniper actually gave up what he was best at and came to compete with him in close combat. Isn't that courting death? But even if he used a sniper rifle, it would be useless. He had already come within 100 meters. No matter how good the two snipers were, they couldn't be saved. At this time, T5 saw the steam train he had been chasing for 2 days in his peripheral vision. It stopped in the distance without knowing when. T5 was confused. Why didn't the other party run away? Wasn't he afraid that after he dealt with the two men, they would continue to chase him? But he didn't have time to think about it. T5 looked at Ren Xiaosu, who was coming towards him seriously. He thought that this young man was quite tough. He dared to fight a life and death duel with him, a T5 sequence. Just as he was thinking, T5 was knocked into the sky by Xiaosu, who appeared from the side. The huge impact from the side made T5 a little overwhelmed. At this moment, the whole person began to twist gradually, and then completed a 1080-degree rotation in the sky, accompanied by the roar of a sniper rifle. T5 saw the girl pulling the trigger in the air, but he felt that as long as he turned fast, the bullet would not catch up with him. But in fact, Yang Xiaojun fired 3 shots in a row. Even though T5 was spun by Xiaosu at a high speed, each bullet landed on the same wound. 3 bullets pierced T5. T5 fell to the ground like a rag bag. Ren Xiaosu patted the non-existent dust on his hands as he watched him die. These T5s seem to have a bad brain. They never understand the principle of war. Could it be that they have given up some of their intelligence on the road of evolution? It's possible. Yang Xiaojun put away his gun and stood up. They are different from the extraordinary people. They rely purely on external forces to evolve. It is very likely that there will be some sequelae, but most extraordinary people will end up miserably when they meet them. At this time, Ren Xiaosu looked at the steam train parked far away in the wilderness. Wang Konggyang was in the train, as if he was ready to run away again at any time. Why didn't this guy take the opportunity to escape? Ren Xiaosu asked in confusion. But he heard Wang Konggyang shouting loudly, "The Spark Company is chasing me like this, it's you who did it, right?" Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. How did Wang Konggyang guess him? He shouted, "No, listen to my excuse." Wang Konggyang. He almost spat out a mouthful of blood out of the car window. He yelled at Ren Xiaosu, "After the fall of East Lake in Fortress number 73, I met you, and then the Spark Company began to want me. This time I met you in the Holy Mountain, and the Spark Company immediately raised the wanted level afterwards. I find it hard to believe that this is a coincidence." Although Wang Konggyang still doesn't know what happened and what happened, when he left Fortress number 73 before, he suddenly had the ability to take the blame and was wanted by the Spark. Now a similar thing happened again, and his blame was bigger. How could this be a coincidence? At that time, he felt something was wrong. Obviously Su Xianchu also had a blame. Why did he have the same ability as Su Xianchu? There must be something wrong. And the so-called skill of taking the blame is to take the blame, isn't it? This hint is so straightforward that it's almost explicit. Maybe Su Xianchu couldn't think of the root cause, and was complacent about his new ability, but how could Wang Konggyang not think of it? Ren Xiaosu thought for a while and said, "It really has nothing to do with me." Wang Konggyang slowly calmed down. "Whether you admit it or not, I basically know the answer in my mind. Although I don't know how you did it, I formally apologize to you here. As the saying goes, revenge will never end. Why don't you and I make peace? You continue on your way, and I continue to deliver my express. I had no choice before, but now I just want to be a good person." This is Wang Konggyang's sincere words. He really doesn't want to get involved in any weird things now. He has enough money to spend, but he is being hunted every day. How can he seek justice? Ren Xiaosu thought for a while and replied, "What if I say no? You have caused trouble for me more than once or twice, right?" Wang Konggyang was a little overwhelmed. "Why not? Didn't you kill my cousin? In fact, my relationship with my cousin is not that good. Do you remember when I went to search your yard for the first time? I said that it would be better if you were a soldier under me. It would be much better than those useless people in the private army. In fact, I didn't have any murderous intention towards you at that time." Ren Xiaosu raised his eyebrows. "You still think you are innocent?" Wang Konggyang said with great sorrow, "Stop it. I know that no snowflake is innocent during an avalanche, but you can't just catch a snowflake and beat it to death." A cold wind blew across the wilderness, and no other sound could be heard here except the sound of the wind. At this time, Yang Xiaojun suddenly said beside him, "You may have misunderstood. Ren Xiaosu didn't beat you to death." Wang Konggyang was stunned for a moment. "What is that?" Yang Xiaojun said very seriously, "He beat every snowflake." Ren Xiaosu. The chimney of the steam train spewed out a cloud of black smoke, and Wang Konggyang chose to leave without saying a word. "It is not advisable to stay here for long." Yang Xiaojun looked at Ren Xiaosu with some surprise. "Did I scare him?" There will be another update in the evening. Chapter 777, Conquering People with Virtue. Ren Xiaosu looked at the steam train going farther and farther away. Just run away like that. Seeing Wang Konggyang fleeing, Ren Xiaosu suddenly lost interest in chasing him. First of all, if he wanted to catch up, he would have to use the steam train to keep up with Wang Konggyang's speed until Wang Konggyang was exhausted. Secondly, Ren Xiaosu suddenly felt that leaving him to take the blame seemed to be an option. Of course, this thought could not be known to outsiders. Yang Xiaojun glanced at Ren Xiaosu, then materialized the black sniper. "Do you want to chase him?" "No." Ren Xiaosu quickly stopped Yang Xiaojun and said, "Look, my questioning just now has made him so ashamed that he wants to be a good person. Let's not fight and kill all day long. We should win people over with virtue." Yang Xiaojun was puzzled. "You? Win people over with virtue?" To be honest, no matter how Yang Xiaojun beautified Ren Xiaosu in her heart, it was difficult to associate him with the four words "win people over with virtue." However, Yang Xiaojun thought for a while, then pulled out a dagger from his boots and carved a small word on the butt of the black sniper rifle. Then he decisively fired a shot at the steam train in the distance. Yang Xiaojun stood straight and steady, as if he was not affected by the recoil at all. More than a second later, the bullet hit the train, and Wang Konggyang almost vomited blood in the carriage. "You know, this steam train will feed back to the host when it is attacked." But he didn't have time to spit blood. The most important thing was to escape from this ghost place. Yang Xiaojun put down the black sniper rifle and said to Ren Xiaosu, "Is this the way to win people over with virtue?" Ren Xiaosu was immediately shocked. What kind of understanding ability does this girl have? The so-called winning people over with virtue is to carve a word on the butt of the rifle and then hit people. Is this the way to win people over with? The key is that you can really carve it. This is a black sniper rifle. Ren Xiaosu picked up Yang Xiaojun's black sniper rifle and saw that the elegant word was really engraved on it, just like the black sniper rifle itself had the word. Ren Xiaosu was silent for a long while. "You said this is to win people over with virtue, then that's it." He looked up at the sky and sighed. The girl next to him was much more hardcore than him most of the time. But this is why he likes her, isn't it? Barrier number 61 is now well organized, with doors open at night and no one picking up lost items on the road. Nowadays, not only inside the barrier, but also in the market town, surveillance cameras are installed. So when Ren Xiaosu finally returned to market town number 61, he always felt that everything was awkward. This was no longer the market town he was familiar with. In front of him were still shabby shacks and muddy roads, but there were brand new surveillance cameras installed above his head. Ren Xiaosu suddenly felt a little ironic. In fact, the Wang family was not short of money at all, and was located in one of the richest areas in the Central Plains. However, they would rather install surveillance cameras in the market town than build more brick and stone houses for the refugees so that they could have a home. The high-tech surveillance cameras appeared in the slums, which was really a bit out of place. Ren Xiaosu took Yang Xiaojin to the market town and said to Yang Xiaojin, "I lived here when I first came to Central Plains. At that time, I wanted to find you but didn't know where to start, and I didn't dare to reveal my identity. Then I started to contact Enjing Temple through a storyteller. I wanted to use them to find people after entering Enjing Temple, but I gradually discovered that Enjing Temple was not as upright as the legend said, so I gave up." Well, Yang Xiaojin nodded, Enjing Temple has been a discarded pawn since its establishment. It's just an external disguise of the thugs. My aunt never seemed to intend to run it seriously, but even so, Enjing Temple has become the largest killer organization in Central Plains. It has to be said that Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin both admired Yang Enjing's abilities, but they didn't quite approve of the actions of this leader of Enjing Temple and the thugs. Ren Xiaosu continued, "The tavern is in front. When I have nothing to do, I always go there to order a bowl of mutton soup bun, read a book, and then listen to my own story." Yang Xiaojin curled her lips. "Listening to my own story is the key point." "Ho ha, no, no," Ren Xiaosu laughed. At this moment, Ren Xiaosu looked up and suddenly found that a surveillance camera above his head seemed to be following him and changing its perspective. It felt like something was behind the surveillance and had a strong interest in him. But when Ren Xiaosu looked up, the surveillance camera stopped moving. Ren Xiaosu tried to walk out of the surveillance camera area, and the other party stopped following him. "I don't know what this artificial intelligence is," Ren Xiaosu sighed. "It seems that Wang's family trusts what they made very much, but I always feel that if the residents in the fortress are monitored every day, they probably won't be very happy, or dare not be happy." At this time, Ren Xiaosu had already brought Yang Xiaojin into the tavern, and only heard the storyteller say, "Dear readers, you don't know that the white mask is famous, but it is just the ability of an extraordinary person." Once this happened, the world was shaken. Yang Xiaojin was stunned for a moment. Is this tavern a special show for Ren Xiaosu? How come she heard something related to Ren Xiaosu as soon as she entered the door? She turned her head and found that Ren Xiaosu had been listening with relish. But something unexpected happened. Yang Xiaojin suddenly saw a little girl staring at her, looking at herself and then at Ren Xiaosu, and then tears were about to fall. Yang Xiaojin couldn't help but think about what Ren Xiaosu had done during the time when she and Ren Xiaosu were separated. How come Zhou Yingsu left and a little girl came? Ren Xiaosu didn't notice Xiaolu's expression and said to the waiter in the store, "2 mutton soup buns, add 20 yuan of meat." Of course, it was more generous to treat Yang Xiaojin to steamed buns. When the storyteller saw Ren Xiaosu coming back, he naturally ended the story quickly and moved on to the stage of waiting for the next chapter. He touched Xiaolu's little face next to him and whispered, "Why are you almost crying? Didn't he bring a girl here last time?" Although the storyteller didn't want Xiaolu to have contact with Ren Xiaosu, he felt distressed when he noticed that his granddaughter was sad. Xiaolu said in a wronged whisper, "This time is different. He doesn't like the woman last time. What about this time?" The storyteller was happy instead. The way he looked at that girl this time was different. He really liked her, Xiaolu said, and then he went into the kitchen without even saying hello to Ren Xiaosu. The storyteller cursed in his heart, and slowly walked towards Ren Xiaosu. "Luckily you are back now, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see us." Ren Xiaosu's face changed drastically. "Don't talk nonsense, I see you are still strong." The storyteller said, "I'm not saying I'm going to die, it's just that living under the nose of this artificial intelligence created by Wang's family is too depressing." Chapter 778 Psychological Counseling. Before meeting the storyteller, Ren Xiaosu's impression of artificial intelligence was that although he didn't like it, it might be good at maintaining law and order. However, since he didn't plan to live in Wang's, he didn't care much. Now, the storyteller is going to move out of Wang's because of this. Ren Xiaosu asked in confusion, "Is it that serious?" The storyteller sighed. "I originally thought that there would be no surveillance cameras installed in the market town, but now they are installed in the market town. As a result, I have no material for storytelling, and many people don't dare to send me materials." Ren Xiaosu is speechless. "What materials are you sending? Can't you just say that you are sending intelligence?" Ren Xiaosu knew in his heart earlier that this storyteller must be extraordinary, otherwise how could he tell new stories so timely every time, sometimes even faster than the intelligence systems of many organizations? Could this be ordinary material? Moreover, when Yang Anjing came to the market town, the storyteller asked Xiaolu to tip off Ren Xiaosu. It was obvious that the storyteller knew Yang Anjing. Ren Xiaosu looked at the storyteller and asked, "How many years have you lived in this market town? You're moving just like that." The storyteller sighed, "I've lived here for more than 10 years. I'm a little reluctant to move, but I have no choice. Wang's control will become more and more stringent in the future, and there's no room for us here. Where do you want to go?" Ren Xiaosu asked. The storyteller shook his head, "I haven't decided yet." "Then I have a suggestion," Ren Xiaosu said. "I see your face." The storyteller interrupted, "Northwest Daxing." "Yes, Northwest Daxing." Ren Xiaosu was not embarrassed at all. Did the storyteller already know the big liar's routine? Yang Xiaojin turned her head and looked at Ren Xiaosu silently. She thought to herself that this big liar was too devilish and infected Ren Xiaosu. Ren Xiaosu asked, "How did you know I was going to say Daxing Northwest?" The storyteller said unhappily, "That big liar has told my fortune more than 10 times over the years, and every time he said Daxing Northwest, he didn't know how to change something new. Of course, the Northwest is also within my consideration, but I need to think about it again to see where is the safest now." However, at this moment, the door of the tavern was pushed open, and the storyteller immediately turned around and went to the kitchen, as if he didn't know Ren Xiaosu. Ren Xiaosu looked at the visitor in surprise. The other party was a young man. He said to him and Yang Xiaojin very politely, "Hello, my name is Wang Run. I have been ordered to take you to the fortress. The accommodation has been arranged, and there will be a dinner in the evening." The young man spoke very politely, but his aura was very strong. He could give people a sense of oppression just by standing there without being humble or arrogant. Ren Xiaosu looked at the other party carefully. He vaguely felt that the other party might be an extraordinary person. Wang Run suddenly gave him a feeling that he was like the commander of the Imperial Guards in the storyteller's stories. But he and Yang Xiaojin had not told anyone when they came to number 61 Market Town. When they came, they did not meet Wang's people. How did Wang's people know that they were coming and found the tavern so quickly? Wait, this must be the work of artificial intelligence. Ren Xiaosu stood up, "Let's go." He came to number 61 barrier to fulfill the agreement with Yang Anjing, and he didn't care about anything else. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin had also discussed that once the three things were completed, they would immediately leave for the Northwest, no longer care about the right and wrong of the Central Plains, and participate in the development and construction of the Northwest. Before, Ren Xiaosu was worried that the climate in the Northwest was bad, and Yang Xiaojin might not want to go. After all, it was indeed much harder there than in the Central Plains. But Yang Xiaojin herself really didn't care at all. The vehicles outside were waiting at the door of the tavern. After Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin got in the car, the off-road vehicle drove into the barrier. At this time, the administrative center of Wang's was moving to the interior of barrier number 61, and Wang Shengzi's administrative residence had moved in early. The last time Ren Xiaosu entered barrier number 61, it was to solve the crisis of the creeper. Until now, the entire supernatural world still doesn't know how the creeper died, and it has become an unsolved mystery. Some people say that the creeper has become a spirit and turned into human form to wreak havoc on the world. Some people say that the creeper was solved by the master of the Wang family. Anyway, there are all kinds of rumors. Only a few people who have experienced it know that all the energy of the creeper was taken away by Zhou Yingsu. For example, Luo Lan is now very polite when facing Zhou Yingsu. After entering the barrier, the off-road vehicle drove through the long main road. Ren Xiaosu suddenly saw through the window that the hurried pedestrians subconsciously lowered their heads after seeing the off-road vehicle, as if they didn't dare to look directly at it. Ren Xiaosu asked Wang Run, who was sitting in the passenger seat, "All the pedestrians are in a hurry. Where are they going?" Wang Run replied, "It's just past noon now. They must be on their way to work after lunch." Ren Xiaosu asked again, "I heard that everyone here has a job and food to eat, right?" Wang Run replied with a little pride, "Yes, no one here will go hungry. Everyone lives a fulfilling life." 2 months have passed this year, and there have only been 2 criminal cases in the entire barrier. Do they choose their jobs themselves or? Ren Xiaosu asked. For barrier assignment, the staff will enter their detailed personal information into the system, and then artificial intelligence will make accurate assignments, Wang Run replied. But what if the assigned person doesn't like the job? Ren Xiaosu asked curiously. This assignment method is the most suitable job for them under rational logic. What I'm asking is, what if they don't like it? Ren Xiaosu said strangely, as if some people are indeed very suitable for logistics work, but they prefer challenging sales work. How should they choose? Moreover, in such an environment, I am afraid that writers, painters, sculptors, philosophers and other artistic jobs will not be allowed to exist. Although these things seem a little pale in the current world, these seemingly useless things are also one of the cornerstones of human development. Although Ren Xiaosu doesn't like those people who are engaged in art, he also feels that it is a bit wrong to completely erase them. So he asked Wang Run what to do if those people don't like the assigned work. Wang Run thought about it and replied, "There is a special psychological counseling team in the barrier. When someone has resistance to the work, there will be a psychological counseling team to provide psychological counseling." Psychological counseling. Ren Xiaosu is stunned. I don't know why he suddenly felt creepy when he heard these 4 words, but he couldn't describe where this feeling came from. Chapter 779, I've made some progress today. Ren Xiaosu didn't know what this so-called psychological counseling was. He just felt that Wang's behavior was too overbearing. If there were really people in this world who didn't like what they were good at, Ren Xiaosu felt that this was natural. For example, Qing Zhen often said that he didn't like war, but he was good at solving wars. For example, Zhang Baojun was an extraordinary person, but he felt that he should stay in the welfare home to make the children happy. Even if Zhang Baojun's saliva bubbles had been developed to great power, even if Zhang Baojun's saliva bubbles smelled like leeks, everyone had their own choices. Okay, in your Wang's fortress, such choices and preferences may not be very important. But what is the subtext of psychological counseling for those people? You think you don't like your current job, that's because there is something wrong with your mentality, so you need psychological counseling. The subtext is that you are wrong, and I want to use psychological counseling to help you get back on track. Ren Xiaosu cannot agree with this method. If someone said to him, Ren Xiaosu, you are best at killing people, so you should help everyone kill people, Ren Xiaosu will definitely beat the other person's dog brains out. Moreover, at this moment, Ren Xiaosu suddenly felt that psychological counseling had suddenly become a very gloomy word in this barrier number 61, which made him a little difficult to accept. He could even imagine that if a very stubborn person suddenly appeared in this barrier and was unwilling to do the work assigned to him by artificial intelligence, then this person would probably face endless psychological counseling. This feeling was too terrifying. No wonder those residents of the barrier subconsciously lowered their heads when they saw Wang's vehicle. Ren Xiaosu did not comment on this matter. He was not a savior, and he had no better or more reasonable suggestions. He just wanted to complete the agreement quickly and leave. The off-road vehicle drove for nearly 40 minutes, and Ren Xiaosu silently outlined the route in his mind. When he came here with Zhou Yingsa before, he had memorized the map of barrier number 61. Although he could not remember everything like Wang Yun, it was roughly correct. At this moment, Li Ran, a female star who was coming out of a villa on the side of the road, was stunned by the off-road vehicle passing by. The new assistant beside her asked, "What's wrong, Ran?" Li Ran looked in the direction where the SUV left. "I seem to see an acquaintance." Li Ran used to live in barrier number 61. She was rescued by Ren Xiaosu and Zhou Yingsu during the Ivy disaster. Later, she came back after the barrier was rebuilt. After all, this is where she grew up and she has some feelings for it. Now Li Ran saw Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun in Wang's car. I don't know why she still feels sour in her heart. She used to look down on Ren Xiaosu, but later she realized that she couldn't enter the world that the other person lived in. The assistant turned to look at Li Ran, just an acquaintance. Yet, Li Ran adjusted his mood and responded, "Let's go and participate in the event." The assistant muttered in his heart, looking at Li Ran's lost expression. It was obviously not an ordinary acquaintance. The SUV passed the long street and stopped on a quiet street. After Wang Run got off the car, he said to Ren Xiaosu, "These 2 courtyards are where you 2 will stay. They are specially used by my Wang family to receive distinguished guests." Ren Xiaosu looked at the 2 courtyards. They were not big, but they were quiet and elegant. But he always felt that something was wrong. No. Wang Run was stunned for a moment. What's wrong? Why 2 courtyards? Ren Xiaosu said earnestly, "Look, we only need 1 courtyard. It's not good to take up your resources for receiving distinguished guests when we come as guests. Isn't this a waste? No, you go back and talk to the higher-ups. We can live together." Wang Run was stunned for a long time and didn't know how to answer. But he saw Yang Xiaojun pushed open his courtyard and walked in. As he walked, he said contemptuously, "You talk as if you dare to do anything." Yang Xiaojun knew Ren Xiaosu too well. Didn't he know how cowardly this guy was in the wilderness? He even came here to make demands. Ren Xiaosu stood in the street in a messy manner. Wang Run said, "You 2 take a short rest first. I will come to pick you up to the boss's official residence at dinner time." After that, Wang Run slipped away. Ren Xiaosu stood there. He thought that the arrangement of the 2 courtyards must have been done by Yang Xiaojun's aunt Yang Enjing. Is this human work? There are so many people outside who have no place to live. He actually wasted the barrier resources so much? This will make him feel guilty. Thinking of this, Ren Xiaosu walked to Yang Xiaojun's courtyard and wanted to push the door to enter, but found that Yang Xiaojun had locked the courtyard door long ago. Ren Xiaosu's face darkened. "Why is the door still locked? Can't you afford to play?" Yang Xiaojun inside said, "Not bad, you have made some progress today. You know to come and push the door." After that, she went into the house with a smile, without any intention of opening the door for Ren Xiaosu. Just as Ren Xiaosu was about to enter his yard with a dusty face, a familiar voice sounded from the other side, "Ren Xiaosu." Ren Xiaosu turned around and found that Jiang Su walked out of another yard with several reporters beside him. He asked puzzledly, "Why are you also at barrier number 61? Jiang Su smiled, "I came here to see what Wang's artificial intelligence is like, and to teach a class here. I was just feeling bored and you came here. But why are you here?" "That's a long story," Ren Xiaosu said with emotion. "I promised others to do 3 things within my ability. At this time on the grassland in the north, Yan Liwen led Hassan, Purelanki, Higu Ayan and others back to the royal court, but as soon as they arrived at the royal court, they found that the women, children, the elderly and the young in the tribe all looked a little panicked. Yan Liwen's voice came from under the black mask, "What's going on? What happened?" Sister Xiaoyu came out of the big tent to greet Yan Liwen. She first looked at Yan Liwen to see if he was injured, and then said, "I told you before that a new salt pond was found dozens of kilometers away, but someone went to dig salt 2 days ago and never came back. I asked several warriors under your account to check, but they only brought back a few corpses." Yan Liwen was stunned. "Did a wolf pack do it?" "No," Sister Xiaoyu shook her head, "it was a knife wound, and the right ear of the corpse was also cut off." Yan Liwen looked at Pulanki suddenly. "Are there any tribes on the grassland?" Pulanki shook his head. "No, they're all here. This kind of thing happened a few years ago, but it was in a place further north. Later, it was too cold and no one lived there. There has always been a legend on the grassland that the north of the grassland is not a grassland. There are actually some humans living in that extremely cold place, but no one has seen them, or those who have seen them are dead." Yan Liwen looked towards the north. In the minds of many people in the Central Plains, the end of the north was the grassland, and the enemy on the grassland was the nomads. But many people subconsciously overlooked one thing: north of the grassland, there is also the north. Eat a meal. There is another chapter in the evening. Chapter 780 Choosing Teammates. As the night was about to fall, Ren Xiaosu collected the chess pieces reluctantly. He looked at Jiang Su and said, "Your chess skills have declined a bit." Jiang Su raised his eyebrows and said with a sullen face, "Get out of here while I can still hold it back." Several reporters nearby laughed secretly. They had never seen the editor-in-chief being so embarrassed in front of anyone. You know, Jiangsu's chess skills were famous throughout the city of Luo. At the beginning, Jiangsu looked for old men who played chess in the city of Luo, defeated them one by one, and became the best old man at chess. Now, Jiangsu played 3 games with Ren Xiaosu, and he didn't win a single game. Of course, this was not because Ren Xiaosu is so good at chess, but purely because he was shameless. Jiangsu's general could only move 1 square at a time, while Ren Xiaosu could move 10 squares at a time. According to Ren Xiaosu's explanation, Jiangsu was old and his legs were not good, so it was normal for him to move 1 square at a time. He was still young and a superhuman, so it was normal for him to move 10 squares at a time. Moreover, he had tried, and ordinary cars might not be able to outrun him in the wilderness. Jiangsu felt that playing chess with Ren Xiaosu was like a farce. He said, "Let's get back to the point. I suggest you don't get too close to Wang's. When I first came to Wang's, I thought artificial intelligence was pretty good. Not to mention other things, at least the people in this entire barrier were well fed and clothed. But later, when things like psychological counseling came up, I became a little worried. Moreover, Wang's ambitions are too big. I suspect that the sudden outbreak of the war between Huazhan and Kongs is also closely related to Wang's." Ren Xiaosu nodded, "I'll be careful." As he spoke, Wang Run's car had already parked outside. After Ren Xiaosu said goodbye to Jiangsu, he got into the car with Yang Xiaojin to attend the banquet. Tonight, they mainly wanted to see what Wang Shengzi and Yang Anjing were trying to do. After Ren Xiaosu left, several reporters around Jiangsu asked excitedly, "Editor-in-chief, is that him?" Jiangsu nodded and smiled, "Yes, it's him." The reporter asked, "Can you help us get a few autographs? He was so handsome when he was guarding our Hope Media." When the battle in Los Angeles took place, the reporters and editors were in the building. That night, everyone thought that Hope Media was going to fall, but in the end, the other party stopped all the bandits by himself. Now, the back view of Ren Xiaosu drawn by the female reporter has long been photocopied and collected by the reporters. For these people in Hope Media, Ren Xiaosu is their hero. To be honest, even Ren Xiaosu didn't know how popular he was in Hope Media now. The off-road vehicle drove all the way to the northwest of the barrier. Originally, Ren Xiaosu thought that Wang Shengzi's official residence would be very luxurious, but the reality surprised him. The vehicle drove into a tree-lined path and stopped by the roadside. The yard beside the road was old and mottled, hidden behind dense sycamore trees. After Wang Run pushed open the gate, Ren Xiaosu walked inside on the bluestone slabs in the yard. There were bamboos planted in the yard and a pond of koi, which looked somewhat peaceful and tranquil. Although the outside world had many bad speculations about Wang Shengzi, Ren Xiaosu is still willing to come to Wang's to meet him, because after all, Wang Shengzi had saved his life. Even if the red spear had only pierced his appendix, with such a large wound, if he had not stopped bleeding and applied medicine in time, he would probably have died on the shore. Ren Xiaosu always took revenge for revenge and returned favors for favors, so this was one of the reasons why he agreed to Yang Anjing. After all, Yang Anjing was now inseparable from Wang's. The relationship between Yang Anjing and Wang's was not what Ren Xiaosu had guessed, just like this time he came at Yang Anjing's invitation, but in the end it was Wang Shengzi who entertained him. Walking into the spacious living room, Ren Xiaosu heard the sound of a wheelchair and turned his head to look, and suddenly saw Yang Anjing, wearing a black combat uniform, pushing Wang Shengzi out of the corridor. Ren Xiaosu was surprised. Could it be that the relationship between these two people has gone beyond cooperation? He greeted them and said, "Mr. Wang, long time no see." Wang Shengzi smiled and said, "It's too formal to call me Mr. Wang for our relationship. Then what should I call you?" Ren Xiaosu pondered for a while and tried, "Uncle." The whole villa suddenly became quiet. Yang Anjing and Yang Xiaojin looked at him expressionlessly, while Wang Shengzi laughed out loud, "Just call me Mr. Wang. Let's go. The food is ready." After that, Yang Anjing pushed Wang Shengzi to the dining room, and Ren Xiaosu also sat at the dining table. Unlike the huge dinner he imagined, there were only 4 people tonight: Yang Anjing, Yang Xiaojin, Wang Shengzi, and Ren Xiaosu. The food was unusually rich. Ren Xiaosu could also see many servants busying around. After he sat down, Someone immediately laid a napkin for him to prevent the soup from dripping on him. To be honest, it was the first time that Ren Xiaosu discovered that big shots also had such a sense of ritual when eating. But none of this matters. He still wants to know what Wang Shengzi and Yang Enjing intend to have him do. Ren Xiaosu asked calmly, "Since you two wanted me to come, I am here. There is no rush for food. Although I have not tasted the delicacies in front of me, I am a strange person. I always feel that simple food is more to my taste. So, what do you two want me to do? Tell me in advance, and don't ask me to do anything that is difficult. It is up to me to do it or not." Wang Shengzi smiled and said, "Don't worry, the first thing is for me to take you to understand what Wang's artificial intelligence is." Ren Xiaosu was puzzled. Think about it carefully. If ordinary people get my 3 promises, they will not waste them like this. In my opinion, this is not a waste. Wang Shengzi shook his head. "I went to the northwest some time ago and heard Zhang Jinglin admit with his own mouth that he planned to hand over Fortress 178 to you. Therefore, the northwest maintains trade and good neighborly relations with the Wang family. I think it is necessary for you to understand what the Wang family is doing." Of course, things are not as simple as Wang Shengzi said, but only Yang Enjing knows Wang Shengzi's true purpose. Ren Xiaosu thought for a moment and said, "Okay, I can do this." "That's good," Wang Shengzi said happily. He had been a little depressed before, but it was not until this moment that he finally relaxed. Ren Xiaosu asked, "But I don't understand why I have to understand this artificial intelligence. Why me?" At this time, Yang Enjing, who had been silent all the time, suddenly said, "If you are facing a huge disaster and change, would you choose a wolf as your teammate, or a pig as your teammate?" Ren Xiaosu thought about it again. This question seemed to be a bit meaningful, and people didn't know how to answer it. He was silent for a moment and then said seriously, "If conditions permit, I hope my teammate can be a person." Wang Shengzi. Yang Enjing. Yang Xiaojin. Chapter 781, Different Paths, Different Plans. Ren Xiaosu didn't have to be angry at this time, but he really felt that he didn't have any grand ambitions for the world, and just needed a group of people to live happily. Whether it was a wolf teammate or a pig teammate, Ren Xiaosu didn't care. He wanted teammates who were real people and people with human touch. For some reason, Ren Xiaosu attached great importance to human touch. He had experienced so many things, but he only felt a sense of identity with the Northwest, and it was also because there was the human touch he needed there. The so-called human touch is not whether your comrades are strong and powerful when you are fighting, but when the battle is over, everyone can support each other to go home, and laugh and curse on the way home. But in Wang's, Ren Xiaosu didn't see these. When he recalled it, he only remembered Wang's artificial intelligence and how Anjing Temple planned to kill the extraordinary people and the desperate people in the underground world. Yes, after the fall of East Lake and the trip to the Holy Mountain, Wang's and Anjing Temple did make Ren Xiaosu look at them with new eyes. The last time he saw such a strategist was Qing Zhen. In fact, Qing Zhen was also decisive in killing, but Qing Zhen's sincere brotherhood with the Luolan made Ren Xiaosu feel that he had more humanity. This was the difference between Qing Zhen and Wang Shengzi in Ren Xiaosu's eyes. After a brief moment of shock, Wang Shengzi realized that Ren Xiaosu had already answered his question. He said seriously, "I had the same idea as you when I was a teenager, but I saw too many unknown things in the consortium, and gradually began to believe that human management of human is itself the beginning of a tragedy, such as my own tragedy." Wang Shengzi said to himself, "I saw a girl being violated, but because the other party was from the Wang family, the order department did not dare to punish her. In the end, I gave the order myself to sentence the Wang family member to life imprisonment. To this day, people still come to plead for him. I saw a traffic accident. Several pedestrians were playing and fighting on the street. As a result, they accidentally fell and were hit by a car. The driver of the car did not make any mistakes at all, but the order department asked the driver to pay compensation on the grounds of humanitarianism. I've also seen." Wang Shengzi sighed, "I've seen too much, so I want to change. Many people think that I did it just for my legs. I never defended myself, so let them think so." Ren Xiaosu was silent. Actually, none of the reasons Wang Shengzi gave were wrong. He even supported Wang Shengzi a little, because at present, absolutely fair artificial intelligence replacing humans in managing society seemed to be able to solve such troubles. At least now the Wang family members and the officials of the barrier were living on thin ice. If Wang Shengzi's power was not stable enough, I'm afraid these privileged people would have overturned Wang Shengzi's desk long ago. However, Ren Xiaosu suddenly recalled the 4 words psychological counseling, which were like a thorn in his heart. In fact, this was a trivial matter, but Ren Xiaosu always felt that he could peek into the logic of the entire artificial intelligence through this trivial matter, which was an absolutely rational world. A world without human touch? Wang Shengzi said, I have been running Wangs for 17 years, keeping the army firmly in my hands day after day, and completing the purge of the power system, just to wait for today. For that fair world, I can sacrifice everything I have now. Ren Xiaosu thought for a long time and said, maybe you may not like what I said, but I think you are still too hasty. Maybe I don't know how to manage a barrier or a consortium, but I think the world you want will be realized when everyone is well fed, clothed and educated one day. No, it may never be realized, but I still reject a world without humanity. He knew very well that even if the world was rich in material resources and most people could afford to go to school, there would still be beggars, thieves, and criminals. But at that time, most people would still love this world and their own lives. After the artificial intelligence management, Ren Xiaosu only saw pedestrians with their heads down on the street, and he couldn't even see the warmth in those people. Jiang Su's initial point of view was correct. It was good enough for refugees to have enough food and clothing in this era. Why force more? But Jiang Su gradually realized what kind of blow a cold world with only rational logic would have on human civilization. At this time, Ren Xiaosu looked at Yang Anjing. When I met the thugs in the early years, I thought you advocated peace, but now the war in the Central Plains has started. The instigator is the Anjing temple in your hands. I believe that Tuazhong and Kong will not go to war for no reason. The trip to the Holy Mountain may have laid the groundwork. Yang Anjing said calmly, only when the entire barrier alliance is reunited can the war be completely eliminated. Haven't you experienced enough wars in the past? I understand this truth, and you are right, Ren Xiaosu said, but now it sounds more like an excuse for an ambitious person. At this time, the two sides have already had some confrontational intentions. Yang Anjing said seriously, I never created the thugs to maintain peace, but to eliminate all nuclear weapons in the world. When artificial intelligence takes over the entire society, it will supervise all possible ways to produce nuclear weapons impartially and selflessly. Only then can we really achieve nuclear free. At this time, Ren Xiaosu suddenly realized that the basis of the cooperation between Yang Anjing and Wang Shengzi was here, because Yang Anjing knew very well that only by cooperating with Wang Shengzi could she finally achieve her goal, and once and for all. At that time, even the thugs would not need to exist, because no one could escape the eyes of artificial intelligence to study nuclear weapons. This is Yang Anjing's ultimate goal. Is the nuclear weapon really that scary? Ren Xiaosu asked. Of course, Yang Anjing looked at Ren Xiaosu, otherwise, how do you think we entered the wasteland era? Humans have finally taken a breath for more than 200 years, and now someone has taken out this thing. Compared with that disaster, what is the war in the Central Plains? Ren Xiaosu sighed. In fact, from their respective standpoints, neither of them was wrong. The restaurant became dull and no one spoke anymore. Ren Xiaosu lowered his head to eat, clearly not wanting to argue anymore. After the three things were settled, he would naturally leave Wang's. The dishes were exquisite, so exquisite that Ren Xiaosu couldn't bear to eat them, but Ren Xiaosu felt that the essential meaning of food was not to look good, but to fill the stomach. People living in the wilderness have a simpler aesthetic taste for food. Do you have noodles? Ren Xiaosu asked. Give me a big bowl of noodles. Wang Shengzi looked at Ren Xiaosu and sighed inwardly. This might be Ren Xiaosu's way of expressing that people with different ideas cannot work together. So is Ren Xiaosu really hinting at something? No, he just wanted to eat noodles. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 782 Birthday. Ren Xiaosu left after dinner, and Yang Xiaojin followed him, without reminiscing about the past with Yang Anjing. However, during this dinner, Yang Xiaojin did not say a word from beginning to end, and did not refute Yang Enjing or Ren Xiaosu, just like an emotionless eating machine. After returning to their respective courtyards, Ren Xiaosu suddenly asked through the wall, "I was a little too much in my words last night, and I contradicted your aunt like this. Are you unhappy?" Ren Xiaosu heard the other party say, "No, because I always quarrel with her. In fact, our relationship has always been more like sisters. She is only 6 years older than me. She is my grandfather's 61-year-old daughter. Then your grandfather is quite powerful," Ren Xiaosu said. There was a sudden silence on the other side of the courtyard wall, but Yang Xiaojin was not too affected by Ren Xiaosu, and continued, "There is only one thing I want to explain to you tonight. In fact, she is a humane person, at least in my eyes." Ren Xiaosu stopped talking. He noticed that Yang Xiaojin seemed to be lost in some memories, and continued to talk to herself. At that time, there was no family affection in the Yang family. After my father and mother had an accident, no one took care of me. Yang Yuan adopted me just to nominally make it more convenient to receive the resources of my father during his lifetime, such as old subordinates and power. It was Yang Enjing who picked me up and dropped me off at school every day. After school, she would buy me food, sing nursery rhymes with me, read fairy tales, and jump rope. My first sniper rifle was also given to me by her. At this time, the corners of Ren Xiaosu's mouth twitched slightly. It was really that the style of this sentence changed too quickly. He was jumping rope in the front, and suddenly a sniper rifle appeared in the back. The style of the front and back is a bit inconsistent. However, Ren Xiaosu did not interrupt. He recalled Yang Xiaojin's skill level in singing nursery rhymes and skipping rubber ropes. It seemed that Yang Enjing had indeed accompanied Yang Xiaojin a lot. Yang Xiaojin continued, "It was also at that time that she saw Yang's attitude towards me and began to gradually become disappointed with the entire Yangs. I remember that after I pulled the trigger of the sniper rifle for the first time, she said to me, 'Xiaojin, this era has begun to change. I don't know why she is so persistent in wanting to destroy nuclear weapons, and I don't know when she became the master of Enjing Temple and the master of the mob. She began to get busier and busier, but I always received her gifts on my birthday, and she was the only one who remembered my birthday.'" Ren Xiaosu was immediately ashamed. "When was your birthday?" "April 18th of the Gregorian calendar," Yang Xiaojin replied. If it were any other girl, she would have been angry a long time ago, but she was not angry. It was as if she had simply stated something, and then asked, "What about you?" "Eh?" Ren Xiaosu whispered, "I don't know my birthday." Yang Xiaojin was obviously stunned for a moment. She was a little surprised that there was someone in the world who didn't know his or her birthday. But Ren Xiaosu smiled and said, "But someone has tattooed 3.16 on the inside of my arm, so just assume that I was born on March 16th. "Who tattooed it?" Yang Xiaojin frowned. "I don't know." Ren Xiaosu shook his head, although Yang Xiaojin couldn't see him shaking his head. "You." Yang Xiaojin suddenly became a little confused. In her impression, Ren Xiaosu was a native refugee who grew up in the number 113 fortress town, but who among ordinary refugees would have such a number tattooed on their arm? So at this time Yang Xiaojin tried hard to recall, but found that Ren Xiaosu had never mentioned the past. The way they got along was very strange. No one had ever delved into the other's past. It was like two rootless duckweeds in this wasteland era, relying on each other because of love. Ren Xiaosu smiled. "It's very strange, isn't it? Actually, I find it very strange myself. My memory is incomplete." "It's okay, it's not important," Yang Xiaojin said. "I'm telling you this today not to influence your opinion of my aunt. In fact, I can't understand what she wants to do now. I just want to explain why I can't help you tonight." "Well, don't worry, I don't mind," Ren Xiaosu said. According to Yang Xiaojin's personality, she would only explain so much to herself because she cares about her feelings. Thinking of this, Ren Xiaosu was even a little happy. At this time, he thought, why do the two of them have to talk across the wall? They are both extraordinary people, why are they blocked by a wall? Isn't it good to talk all night in the same yard? Thinking of this, Ren Xiaosu prepared to climb over the wall. As soon as he poked his head out of the wall, he saw Yang Xiaojin holding a black sniper rifle in one hand, with a black muzzle pointing at his forehead. Her half-smiley expression was like a silent mockery. "Okay, Ren Xiaosu, you are getting braver and braver. You deserve encouragement. Is that how you encourage me? Ren Xiaosu's face was dark. What else? Haha, I just climbed over to see if you were in a bad mood. I was relieved to see that you were okay. Go to bed early. Good night. Ren Xiaosu said, then jumped back to his yard and ran to the other side to harass Jiangsu. Yang Xiaojun stood alone in the yard and put away the black sniper rifle. She suddenly felt that behind Ren Xiaosu's smile, there seemed to be a deeper loneliness. This kind of loneliness is not the kind of loneliness that comes with no one to accompany you, but the loneliness of being on the wasteland, looking around but finding that you can't see your past and where you came from. This boy is too strong, so strong that he doesn't need anyone's pity, and he doesn't care about others' pity. Yang Xiaojun suddenly whispered, I'll be with you. Ren Xiaosu. Ren Xiaosu. At this time, Ren Xiaosu had already climbed into Jiangsu's yard. Ren Xiaosu was strolling in the yard. He saw through the window that Jiangsu was writing something at his desk. The tungsten filament bulb above his head released heat and a warm yellow light. Jiangsu turned his head inadvertently and saw Ren Xiaosu's face pressed against the glass. He almost got scared. He said unhappily, What are you doing sneaking around? Come in. Ren Xiaosu walked into the room with a grin. What are you writing? I've decided to write a press release about artificial intelligence myself, Jiangsu explained. I think the advent of artificial intelligence is a revolution for all of humanity, so it's better to be cautious. What did you write? Ren Xiaosu asked curiously. It's probably about writing about the changes in the residents from the beginning of AI management to the present time after AI management barriers are established. I noticed that they are becoming more and more depressed, Jiangsu said with a smile. Just understand that I am saying bad things about AI. You are still in Wang's territory, Ren Xiaosu pouted. Jiangsu laughed loudly. Does recording the truth depend on where you are? There are 2 more chapters in the evening, and the character design of Xiao Liren has been posted on Weibo. I originally posted it in the book review area, but it has not been approved for review for a day. Chapter 783 Farewell. Jiangsu is a truth-seeking and pragmatic person, so in order to find the truth about artificial intelligence, he came to Barrier 61 to experience firsthand what it feels like to live under the control of artificial intelligence. Therefore, his understanding of artificial intelligence is more real than Ren Xiaosu's. Unlike Ren Xiaosu has only seen the helplessness of the residents of the barrier when it comes to choosing a job. Jiangsu said to Ren Xiaosu, You know Li Ren, right? Ren Xiaosu nodded. I remember she was also from Barrier 61, but was rescued later. She once visited me in Los Angeles on her tour. Jiangsu nodded. She came back here after Barrier 61 was rebuilt, and came to visit again after learning that I was here. Guess what job she is doing now? Ren Xiaosu asked curiously. Doesn't she sing anymore? No longer singing, Jiangsu said. She said that the barrier arranged a job for her as a radio announcer, which is actually much better than most people, but she still didn't want to, so she wanted to leave Wang's and go somewhere else to be a singer, but Wang's wouldn't let her leave, and sent a psychological counseling team to her house every week to comfort her and instill in her some ideas of obedience. Jiangsu continued, but that's nothing. What's most difficult for her to accept is that the psychological counseling team actually has the key to her house and will come for psychological counseling at any time. Don't think too much. These people did not threaten her personal safety. They just came to her house in the middle of the night. It is said that the artificial intelligence thinks that psychological counseling at this time will be more effective. Ren Xiaosu raised his eyebrows. What's the difference between this and a threat? So she came to visit probably because she wants you to take her away. Jiangsu nodded. I have negotiated with Wang, and Wang agreed very happily, but I can only help her alone. And I actually have selfish motives. I hope that Li Ren can tell everyone what she has experienced. However, this is just one of the small incidents Jiangsu encountered. He said to Ren Xiaosu, also, all the phones in this barrier are being monitored. Many people may not have discovered it, but I have. In the past, even the most powerful intelligence agencies could not monitor and screen the telecommunications system of the entire barrier, but this artificial intelligence can do it easily, so I suggest that you do not use the landline in the house in barrier number 61. That night, Jiangsu talked a lot with Ren Xiaosu about what he had seen and heard at Barrier 61. In the end, Jiangsu decided to describe this place objectively. without any personal subjective attitude, and let the entire Barrier Alliance discuss the current development of Wang's. There are not only bad sides, but also good sides. Jiangsu must admit that Barrier 61 is the best barricade he has ever seen. Even in Los Angeles, there are many dirty things and crimes happen from time to time, but they all disappeared in Barrier 61, as if they were erased with an eraser. Therefore, he will also write these things into his manuscript. Jiangsu smiled at Ren Xiaosu and said, "You came at the right time. I was planning to leave Barrier 61 tomorrow and return to Luocheng. I have been here for almost a month. It is time to go back." Ren Xiaosu thought for a moment and said, "Then I will see you off tomorrow." Jiangsu asked with interest, "Are you afraid that Wang will not let me go? What will you do if they really don't let me leave safely?" Ren Xiaosu said seriously, "They should not be able to stop me." That night, Jiangsu sent out the manuscript he had written using Hope Media's own transmission equipment. Because King Group has 7 satellites, Hope Media has always been the fastest in transmitting news among newspapers. The next morning, Hope Media's newspapers were sold on time at 6:30, and gradually, the adults in the entire Barrier Alliance started a new day. In Barrier 73, a middle-aged man had breakfast at home in the morning and said goodbye to his family. When he passed by the newsstand, he bought a Hope Media newspaper to see what was new today. But he was not in a hurry to read it. He planned to pour a cup of hot tea at work and spend the morning with this newspaper. Then, at lunch, he would talk to his colleagues about the latest news in the newspaper. The middle-aged man stood by the road and waited. The tram slowly came. He took out his monthly pass card and swiped it on the tram. Ding, monthly pass card. The middle-aged man found a seat on the tram. Because it was the starting station, the car was very empty. However, after the tram passed 2 or 3 stations, the carriage began to gradually become crowded. The car was filled with strange smells, sweat, chives, and noisy sounds. The middle-aged man looked out the window contentedly, but he gradually heard someone discussing, "Have you read it? Today's Hope Media newspaper talks about Li Ran's experience. It's all about Wang's artificial intelligence. Li Ran, is it that female singer? I also like her song Explosion. What happened to her?" When the middle-aged man heard this, he finally couldn't help but flipping through the newspaper. As a result, he became more and more engrossed in reading and didn't even notice that he had passed the station. In just one morning, artificial intelligence became a keyword on everyone's lips. Hope Media, which has always attracted much attention, finally fired at Wang's. In the morning, Ren Xiaosu went out alone with Jiangsu and others. Jiangsu looked at the two of them and said, "Have you two had breakfast?" Ren Xiaosu shook his head and said, "I'm going to buy some on the way." "Haha, I knew it." Jiangsu handed him a brown paper bag. "Here, it contains fried vegetable corners by our reporters. Eat them while they were hot." When we first came to Barrier 61, we were a little uncomfortable because the business in Barrier 61 is very bleak. For the time being, there are only some public stores and breakfast shops, which are far away from where we live. No one opened a small shop by themselves. Ren Xiaosu asked in confusion. "No, they said it's not allowed yet, but it may be opened in the future. For the time being, all the industries in this barrier belong to Wang's," Jiangsu said. "Then where does everyone's enthusiasm come from?" Ren Xiaosu muttered. "Working for others is not as happy as making money for yourself." Ren Xiaosu finally escorted Jiangsu and the others to the gate of the barrier. He finally breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Jiangsu being allowed to pass after his documents were checked. Jiangsu turned around and said, "See you again if we are lucky." Ren Xiaosu said, "We will definitely see each other again." Jiangsu smiled and shook his head. "Nothing is certain in this world, so cherish every goodbye." After that, Jiangsu got on the car and left. Ren Xiaosu returned along the same route, but he felt more and more uneasy. At this time, an off-road vehicle passed by him. He was stunned for a moment and suddenly felt that the 3 people in the car had an inexplicable sense of familiarity. He looked back at the off-road vehicle driving out of the barrier, stopped there and thought for a while, and suddenly ran in another direction. Chapter 784, Raid. 61. A reporter who was driving said to Jiangsu, "Editor-in-chief, have you forgotten something?" Jiangsu wondered, "What did I forget?" "You forgot to ask him for an autograph for us." The reporters in the car wanted to beat their chests and stamp their feet. "How could you forget such an important thing?" Jiangsu laughed. "You just met him, Why don't you ask for it yourself? He is a nice guy, he will definitely give it to you. We are a little shy when we see our idol, said the reporter in the co-pilot seat. Editor-in-chief, you don't know, I have liked Chen Nian for a long time. Her birthday is coming up. If I can get her autograph, she will definitely be very happy. Then maybe you will have a chance, right? Jiang Su smiled and said, don't worry, there will definitely be a chance. Who knows when there will be another chance, muttered the reporter in the co-pilot seat. Ren Xiaosu's status in Hope Media is indeed high now. The group of female editors in the newspaper can't wait to talk about him every day. Some female editors even ask reporters in the field every day, wanting to ask if there is any news about this hero. However, at this moment, the reporter who was driving suddenly said, Editor-in-chief, there is a car following behind us. It is not Wang's car and there is no sign. Jiang Su thought for a while, can we get rid of it? The reporter who was driving said calmly, barrier number 61 is actually very close to Los Angeles. I can call the black market directly and ask them to pick us up, so that we can reach the safe area faster. The gas tank was filled up yesterday, so it must be enough. Then try to get rid of them, Jiang Su said, leaning on the back seat. Editor-in-chief, is Wang going to attack us because of today's Hope Media newspaper? A reporter asked. I don't think it's an official act. Jiang Su shook his head, and then he took out several pistols from the secret compartment under his seat, equipped them all. If a fight really happens, you should keep some dignity for yourself and don't die without firing a shot. The editor-in-chief suddenly changed from his usual gentleness to a hardcore one. The reporters next to him also began to skillfully check the magazines and load their guns. You know, it's hard to guarantee the safety of reporters these days if you want to investigate something. Especially the position of investigative reporter, whose life is repeatedly endangered in the process of investigating the consortium. On a wall on the top floor of Hope Media, there are a series of investigative reporters' names engraved. This is what Jiang Su hopes everyone can remember them and remember the hard work these people have put in for the truth. Yin Zhengchen, Gao Qinrong, Yang Wei, Zuena, Jing Jianfeng, Jian Guangzhu. These names are the most shining medals of honor in the history of the news industry. In fact, it is still difficult for investigative reporters to ensure their own safety when carrying guns. After all, the enemies they have to face are far more terrible than guns. But as Jiang Su said, this is the dignity that investigative journalists in the wasteland era should have. A reporter laughed and said, Editor-in-chief, have you ever killed anyone? Jiang Su laughed, no. Are you nervous now? A little nervous, Jiang Su said with a frank smile. However, at this moment, the off-road vehicle was getting closer and closer to them, but when the two vehicles were still more than 50 meters away, a figure suddenly rushed out from behind the mound on the side and rammed the off-road vehicle behind into the sky. White Mask. A reporter looked at the situation behind and shouted excitedly, White Mask, our idol is here to save us. When everyone knew that the White Mask was just the ability of others, the reporters of Hope Media understood. After all, Ren Xiaosu and the White Mask guarded the building one after another that night. Even if you think with your toes, you should understand what's going on. This White Mask is clearly Ren Xiaosu's ability. Originally, there was a small group of female editors in the Hope Media building who were fans of the White Mask. Ren Xiaosu's fans and the White Mask's fans were fighting, making the building seem like water and fire. As a result, after the news came out, the two sides immediately hugged each other and fell in love again. It turned out that everyone was a fan of the same person. Jiang Su smiled bitterly. He didn't expect that the young man would take action again. It was really like what the female editor said, Ren Xiaosu was like their guardian angel. Stop the car, Jiang Su said, the crisis is over. Although he was not sure what happened to the people in the SUV behind, Jiang Su felt that he was safe after Ren Xiaosu took action. Ren Xiaosu also slowly walked out from behind the mound, and Lao Su quickly approached the rolling SUV. After the vehicle stopped, the three people in the car actually got out of the window as if nothing had happened. They each put on a black mask, and then tacitly attacked Lao Su. But these people were too weak in front of Lao Su. Ren Xiaosu was a little confused. Are these people extraordinary people? Why do they look a little wrong? While he was thinking, someone rushed to Lao Su. He pulled out a dagger from his waist and slashed at Lao Su, but everyone's eyes blurred and they saw that Lao Su had already grabbed the man's arm and broke it with a click. The remaining two people wanted to escape into the wilderness, But how could Ren Xiaosu let them run away like that? He controlled Lao Su to knock out the man in his hand, and then rushed out without saying a word to knock out the other two and carry them back. Lao Su carried the two people as if he was carrying two chickens. The reporters who saw this scene cheered, "Invincible, crushing." Someone wanted to take a photo, but was stopped by Jiang Su. "Don't keep his video data, we have to protect his true identity." The reporter quickly put away the camera. "I forgot, I was too excited, I saw my idol fighting again, so cool." The reporter was a little incoherent. Jiang Su looked at Ren Xiaosu. "I won't be polite with you. I'm just a little curious. How did you know someone would come to attack us? I saw this off-road vehicle driving out of the barrier on my way back. And the documents seemed to be very powerful. The guards at the gate didn't even need to check them. So I was wondering if they were in a particularly high-level combat sequence and were going to perform some special mission," Ren Xiaosu explained. "I didn't expect that they really wanted to attack you. It seems that today's report did make some people dissatisfied," Jiang Su sighed. "But I don't think they want to kill us, otherwise they would have opened fire a long time ago. They probably want to capture us alive." As a result, Jiang Su suddenly realized that Ren Xiaosu was not listening to him at all, but was stunned. At this moment, Ren Xiaosu heard the voice of the palace. "We have found unconsciously controlled nanorobots. Do you want to flash the machine?" More updates. Another thing to say is that this time, a group of 13 characters include Ren Xiaosu, Yang Xiaojin, Zhou Yingsu, Wang Fuge, Chen Wudi, Zhang Jinglin, Qin Zhen, Luo Lan, Si Liren, Li Shunten, Su Xianshu, Yan Limyun, and Xiao Yuji. They will be released on Weibo one after another. Among them, I am most satisfied with Yang Xiaojin and Chen Wudi. If you are interested, you can go and have a look. Chapter 785 The Age of Farewell. Ren Xiaosu had encountered the same situation before, that is, after knocking someone unconscious, the nanorobots could be put into an unconscious control state, so that the nanorobots could enter a state where they could be flashed. He found that if the other party was still awake, even the palace would be powerless. But he couldn't figure out why he encountered nanorobots here. No wonder the three people had to wear masks after getting out of the car, apparently to cover up the silver blood vessels when using nanorobots. Originally, he thought that these three people were sent by the Wang family to arrest Jiang Su, but now he was a little uncertain. Because it seemed that only the Qing family still had the technology of nanorobots in the world. Before, Ren Xiaosu had asked Luo Lan to let Fatty Luo send a batch of nanorobots to Wang Yuqi and others in Luocheng, so that Wang Yuqi and others would have a certain ability to protect themselves. Fatty Luo promised him that it would be delivered within a month, and he would arrange for his men to do it. Moreover, Luo Lan promised that he would not only prepare nanorobots for Wang Yuqi and others, but also prepare one for him, so that he could go to Luocheng to pick it up at any time. At that time, Ren Xiaosu also asked Luo Lan, "Are there any other consortiums that have mastered nanotechnology?" At that time, he thought that if there were, Jiang Su might not have to limp to avoid suspicion. But Luo Lan replied at the time, "Absolutely not, nanorobot technology is now a secret of Qing's." After the group of scientists responsible for the research of nanorobots signed a confidentiality agreement, they could not even go home alone, and must always be under the protection of Qing's. Ren Xiaosu stared at the three people on the ground in silence. So these people are from Qing's? But why did Qing want to arrest Jiang Su? There is no reason. And how can Qing's people plant these spies in Wang's? Ren Xiaosu felt that with artificial intelligence supervision, Qing's probably couldn't do this. He saw those people coming out with their certificates, and the certificates were very special. Although Ren Xiaosu couldn't figure out these clues, he felt that there must be something wrong, and these people in front of him must not be from Qing's. But, after all, it's better not to refuse these nanorobots that are delivered to your door. Ren Xiaosu looked at Jiang Su and said, "Wait a moment, I'll take care of these three people." Then he took the three people aside, flashed all the nanorobots in their bodies, and then gathered them into his own body. But after the flashing, Ren Xiaosu still felt unsatisfied. The nanorobots on these three people were too advanced. At most, they could only arm half of his arm. At this time, Ren Xiaosu wanted to wake up the three people and ask about their identities, but he unexpectedly found that these three people had no heartbeats. Strange, Ren Xiaosu muttered. He couldn't even tell how the other party died. Now Ren Xiaosu was more certain that the other party was not a member of the Qing family, because the Qing family would never use such means on their subordinates. To be honest, Ren Xiaosu wanted to ask if there were any accomplices nearby. If there were, wouldn't he be able to get more nanorobits? Ren Xiaosu sighed, and then went to meet Jiang Su. He looked at Jiang Su and hesitated for a moment and said, "How about you go back to Barrier 61 and stay for a few days?" After just a moment, Ren Xiaosu wanted to go back to his old job and start fishing for law enforcement. Go back. Jiang Su was really stunned. He didn't understand why Ren Xiaosu said that. Why go back? Ren Xiaosu was speechless. He couldn't think of any legitimate reason to persuade Jiang Su to return. "I'm a little reluctant to leave you, and I want to play chess with you for a few more days." Jiang Su turned around and got in the car when he heard this. Play chess? Haha, this means you can't go back. Ren Xiaosu hurriedly shouted, "No more chess, no more chess. We can talk it over." Jiang Su stopped and said, "You have a purpose for letting me go back, right? Let me guess, you want to lure out the others as well." From Jiang Su's look, it seemed that he was ready to sacrifice his life to accompany Ren Xiaosu in the play. But Ren Xiaosu smiled and said, "I was just kidding you. No matter how big the plan is, you can't joke about your life, right? Go back to Luochang quickly, there are people waiting for you there." Jiang Su smiled and nodded, "Okay, I won't go crazy with you with my old bones, but when I said goodbye this morning, I said that I didn't know when we would see each other again, but I didn't expect to meet again so soon." As he said that, Jiang Su actually walked up to Ren Xiaosu with a cane and hugged him gently. "Take care." Yet, Ren Xiaosu watched Jiang Su get into the car, and for some reason he suddenly felt a little sad. After the car started, a reporter in the car sighed, "It's really an era where you have to say goodbye at any time." Another reporter echoed, "Yes, and many farewells are silent. I was doing research outside for more than a year before, and I didn't even know that my girlfriend got married in Los Angeles." Jiang Su. Suddenly, there was a burst of intense laughter in the car, which lasted for a long time. Ren Xiaosu climbed over the wall and returned to barrier number 61. When he walked on the street again, he always felt like someone was peeping at him, but he turned his head and found nothing. Compared with living in other barriers, Ren Xiaosu was always in a state of uneasiness in barrier number 61. His nerves were involuntarily tense, as if danger would come at any time. He returned to the yard, and Yang Xiaojin's voice rang out from next door, "Where did you go?" "Teacher Jiang Su left, I went to see him off," Ren Xiaosu whispered close to the wall, "because they left early in the morning. I didn't call you, but it's a bit strange that I killed 3 people on the way, 3 nano-warriors." "Nano-warriors?" Yang Xiaojin asked in confusion. "People from Qing's." Not only Ren Xiaosu's first reaction was Qing's, I'm afraid that now everyone in the world will subconsciously think of Qing's when they see nano-warriors. After all, other consortiums really don't have the technology of nano-robots. This description may not be accurate. In fact, there are people who study nano-robots, but they don't have the technology to connect neurons, so they can't arm nano-warriors. Ren Xiaosu replied, "I always feel that they are not from Qing's. Ask Luo Lan next time you see him. If they really want to kill Jiang Su, then I have to have a good talk with them. I think any consortium in this era can be destroyed, but this group of people who just want to record the truth should not be in trouble." Wasn't it because of this bottom line that he protected the Hope Media building in the beginning? Those people who were busy recording the truth were precious treasures in this era. Ren Xiaosu said to Yang Xiaojin, "I heard from Jiang Su that there are few restaurants in barrier number 61. Let's go out and buy some food. I still have meat in my storage space, but no vegetables." Yang Xiaojin was silent for a moment and said, "My stomach hurts a little today, and I don't really want to go out." As soon as he said this, Ren Xiaosu's mind began to race. Ask Yang Xiaojin to drink more hot water? It seems inappropriate. Ask her to rub her belly? She might not let him. Then what should he say? Ren Xiaosu was silent for a moment and said, "You are so thin, how can you have a belly?" Yang Xiaojin. Chapter 786 Enemies in the North. Spring has arrived. The northern grasslands are no longer covered in snow. Instead, they are full of vitality. The tender green of the grasslands is refreshing. The transparent and clear rivers flow through the meadows, winding and moving. The white clouds in the sky are low, as if the sky is within reach. But for some reason, Yan Liwen always felt that the sky was gloomy on his way back, and the dark clouds never dissipated. Until the moment he saw Sister Xiaoyu, the dark clouds in the sky suddenly retreated, and the skylight penetrated the clouds and rushed straight to the earth, and the abyss was also illuminated. Sister Xiaoyu felt that Yan Liwen had changed when she saw him, but when she saw her, she immediately changed back. For Yan Liwen, Sister Xiaoyu was like a solid anchor. As long as this anchor was there, he would not get lost in the deep sea. In front of Sister Xiaoyu, he was no longer a god, nor a young hero on the grassland, but just Yan Liwen. Sister Xiaoyu, my brother is still alive, Yan Liwen said softly while sitting in the king's tent. Sister Xiaoyu, who was sewing clothes for Yan Liwen, suddenly froze. She turned her head and looked at Yan Liwen. Where's he? Yan Liwen took off his black mask from his cheek and said, but I didn't go to find him. There were only the two of them in the king's tent. Sister Xiaoyu saw a trace of sadness in Yan Liwen's expression. She said, is it because of fear? Yan Liwen suddenly talked about something else. Sister, you know my ability. Every time I used it before, there would be backlash. Sister Xiaoyu said gently, the first time I discovered your ability was when your brother's bones were broken all over his body. At that time, we were kidnapped by the Li army to work. You fell down every day and bruised yourself, and those who were cursed by you fell to death. Well, Yan Liwen nodded, the backlash of the curse is very simple. Whatever I curse, the corresponding backlash will befall me. But it has been different since the battle in the river valley. The earth is constantly cracking, and the cracks in the ground are spreading far away, but I have not suffered any backlash. The cracked earth is like opening the shackles on my body. Every time I use it, the shackles will open a little more. Sister Xiaoyu did not rush to respond after hearing this, but listened to Yan Liwen in silence. Yan Liwen said, the cracks on the shackles are like cracks in the abyss, constantly expanding. I feel as if there is a certain will calling me, making me a part of that will. No, to be more precise, replacing that huge will. Only when I return to you, I feel that the cracks are slowly closing, and I will have more human emotions again. Liwen, you have unified the grassland, don't use your ability anymore. Sister Xiaoyu sat opposite Yan Liwen and said softly. Well, I will try my best to restrain myself, Yan Liwen promised. What are your plans for the future? Sister Xiaoyu asked. Yan Liwen was silent for a long time. This time when we went south, thousands of innocent people died in the massacre. Some women were humiliated by the Chiu Dun tribe. I don't know how to face him. I don't know how to tell him that his closest brother has become the person he hates the most. But you know, although he hopes you will be a good person, he will never abandon you because of this kind of thing. Have you ever thought about how hard it is for him to find you now? You know your brother's character. If he doesn't see you for a day, he will keep looking for you until he dies, Sister Xiaoyu said. Yan Liwen stopped talking. At this time, Sister Xiaoyu looked at Yan Liwen's expression and suddenly realized that Liwen was not unable to face Ren Xiaosu, but unable to face himself. At that time in the market town, Liwen would imitate Ren Xiaosu's tone when speaking. He would do whatever Ren Xiaosu liked to do. This child had an inexplicable admiration for Ren Xiaosu since he was a child. He took Ren Xiaosu as his role model and wanted to be a person like Ren Xiaosu. But in the end, he became the kind of person that the other party hated the most, and Yan Liwen was scared. Sister, give me some time, Yan Liwen said, I'll go check the matter of the salt pond first. As he said that, Yan Liwen put on the black mask again. When he walked out of the royal tent, countless tribesmen were waiting for him outside. Hassan led the horse for him, and Polanki knelt on the ground respectfully, willing to become a horse stool. This is the treatment of the gods. Yan Liwen first checked the injuries of the deceased. Polanki confirmed on the side, they are all knife wounds, but it should be a heavy knife. The chopping force is very strong, almost chopping the person in half, and the ear is also cut off, like a ritual. Yan Liwen nodded, are there any survivors? Did you see the appearance of the murderer? No, there are only these 12 people who went to the salt pond to carry salt, and they are all dead, said a headman. Higu Ian squatted beside the corpse. The knife wounds are all on the front, no one ran away, they are all the bravest men on the grassland. Master, do you want to chase them to the north to avenge them? I, Higu Ian, can be the pioneer. Let Sky bury the warriors first, Yan Liwen said calmly. After that, several falcons flew from the sky and landed beside the corpses without paying attention to others. The tribesmen around all knelt down. For the grassland people, if the body of the dead can be eaten by falcons, it means that the soul of the dead can fly to the sky. But in the past, sky burials required the dead to be dragged to the grassland to wait for 7 days, and it was never as magical as it was before. In their view, this was a funeral held by Yan Liwen himself for his people, a baptism of the gods. Yan Liwen turned his horse and walked towards the salt pond, with hundreds of warriors following him like his personal followers. When they arrived at the outskirts of the salt pond, Yan Liwen had already seen the blood in front of him. On the vast white salt pond, the purple-brown bloodstains were extremely eye-catching. Yan Liwen asked, "Was the body found here?" "Yes, master," a grassland man answered. "Have any of you seen those people from the north in recent years?" Yan Liwen asked. "No," Pulanki shook his head. "It is said that the most active people in the north should be my Pulang tribe, but I have never seen them." "That's strange," Yan Liwen said. "Why did these people suddenly go south and get so close to our territory?" At this moment, a black figure appeared on the vast salt pond in the distance. Hassan subconsciously moved forward and took his men to form a defensive formation in front of Yan Liwen. Yan Liwen watched the other party approaching on horseback, and then said calmly, "Here they come." Chapter 787 Migration. The northern enemies were getting closer and closer. They waded across the white salt pond. Yan Liwen drove his horse forward. The two sides seemed to be standing on a huge mirror, with the sky and earth far away. Yan Liwen silently looked at the enemies in the distance. The enemy's stature was obviously taller than the grassland people. If the average height of the grassland people was 1.75 meters, then these northern enemies were probably all about 1.9 meters, and some were even 2 meters tall. The enemy was covered with brown fur, and the knotty muscles of the thighs were exposed in the cold wind. The upper body also exposed the strong chest muscles. It was just a little strange that in front of the group of sturdy northern men, there was a man in a black robe walking slowly. The corners of the black robe seemed to be sewn with gold thread, which looked mysterious and weird, like a priest. However, Yan Liwen felt that this black robe did not seem to be the same as the group of northerners, because the two sides' statures were obviously not very compatible, and this black robe was a head shorter than the others. This height was more like the Central Plains people. Could the man in black be their leader? Pulanki asked, "Master, why don't we capture the leader first?" "I think the man in black is more like a spy who escaped from the Central Plains," Yan Liwen said with a smile. "Maybe he has some status in the Central Plains. If he wasn't afraid of being recognized, he wouldn't have to cover himself so tightly and pretend to be mysterious." When everyone heard Yan Liwen's relaxed tone, they gradually put their minds at ease. If they think about it carefully, the master beside them can make the mountains collapse and the earth crack with a wave of his hand, so why should they be afraid of these northern enemies? Pulanki whispered, "Master, they are not using knives, no wonder they are so powerful that they can almost cut people in half. It turns out they are using axes." Yan Liwen looked at the group of people in the distance. Pulanki was right. Each of them was holding a huge metal axe. "This axe is not light," Higuain said, "but the men on the grasslands may not be afraid of them." "Master, as long as you give the order, I, Higuain, will lead the charge." At this time, more and more enemies appeared in the distance, and their tall figures made the grassland men's scalps numb. Yan Liwen frowned. At first, they saw only dozens of people, but now there are hundreds of people. It's not accidental that these people went south. This is the entire tribe migrating to the south. Something must have happened in the north, causing them to run south. You see, some of them are carrying cloth bags. This encounter in the salt pond may be an accident. They are here to carry salt. The two sides were deadlocked in the salt pond, and no one moved forward. However, Hassan found that the group of beast-like men in the distance were slowly changing their formation, as if they were ready to charge at them at any time. At this moment, soft footsteps were heard behind the grassland men. Pulanki looked back and found that thousands of giant wolves had come to the edge of the salt pond. They looked at the group of beasts in the north coldly, with their fangs exposed. It was the first time for Pulanki, Higuain and others to see such a large pack of wolves. They had only heard of it in legends before, and thought it was just a scare by Yan Liwen. Now they understand that this giant wolf tribe really exists, and really obeys Yan Liwen's orders. The Silver Wolf King slowly walked to Yan Liwen's side, and was so scared that he sat down on his horse and dared not move. The appearance of the wolves broke the balance between the two sides. Yan Liwen watched the northerners slowly retreat. He turned his horse's head and said, "Let's go back to the tribe. There must be more of them. I heard from my brother that the northern territory before the disaster was more vast than the grassland. Now, this group of people is coming to the south." After returning to the tribe, Sister Xiaoyu asked with concern, "How is it? I heard that you ran into that group of northerners." "Yes," Yan Liwen nodded, "we are leaving this grassland. I'll let Hassan take people to carry enough salt, and then we will go east to avoid their path to the south. This group of people's target is Central Plains, not us." "Central Plains? Why?" Sister Xiaoyu wondered. "Because there are people from the Central Plains among them," Yan Liwen sighed. "There are traders in the Central Plains. But why did they go south?" Sister Xiaoyu didn't understand. "It's unreasonable for the whole family to leave their hometown. There is no common sense in this world," Yan Liwen sighed. "I heard Mr. Zhang say that the ocean has submerged many lands. Maybe the north will be submerged soon, or maybe the weather in the north is too cold, and they are about to die. No matter which speculation it is possible, but the problem that Yan Liwen must face now is how to lead the grassland people to survive. They have just unified the grassland, and they have encountered this kind of thing. In fact, Yan Liwen himself is a little helpless, but if this group of people really want to trouble him, he doesn't mind telling them that they have found the wrong person." Sister Xiaoyu asked, "Do they have any extraordinary people?" Yan Liwen recalled for a moment, and said uncertainly, "In fact, I feel that this group of northerners may have evolved in a different direction from the Central Plains people. The Central Plains has achieved a small number of individuals, while they are more like, the whole has changed. I don't know if this has anything to do with the region. On the contrary, the grassland is awkward, and there are no powerful extraordinary people. The grassland is vast and sparsely populated. Although it rules the entire grassland, the 9 tribes together only have tens of thousands of people." Yan Liwen asked, "And there are only 2 extraordinary people on the grassland now, both of whom are among his followers?" Yan Liwen thought for a long time, and finally asked Sister Xiaoyu to coordinate all the migration matters. Then he took 3 bowls of mare's milk wine, and then cut his fingertips with a small meat-cutting dagger. The deep red blood dripped into the mare's milk wine, and the whole bowl of milky white wine turned scarlet. Yan Liwen let out a long breath, and then asked Kikaij to call Hassan, Purelanki, and Iguayan. After the 3 of them knelt at the door of the big tent, Yan Liwen signaled Kikaij to bring the blood wine to the 3 of them. "Today I grant you the wine to help you become unparalleled warriors under my command. Drink it." Hassan and the other 2 looked at each other, and then drank the scarlet blood wine without hesitation. Then the 3 of them turned red, and there seemed to be endless power surging in their bodies until that power rushed into their minds and helped them open the door to a new world. The whole tribe fell silent, and everyone looked at Hassan and others with envy. This was a reward from the gods. Yan Liwen watched all this silently. In fact, he still had some things he hadn't told Sister Xiaoyu. As his ability to use increased, he gained some new memories. Sister Xiaoyu's character design pictures have also been posted on Weibo. I am adding them all to the character pictures of the Kidian app as official character designs. Those who don't want to go on Weibo can also see them on the Kidian app later, but the review is a bit slow. Okay, I'm going to buy New Year's goods. I'll post the invincible character designs tomorrow when I wake up. Chapter 788 Mysterious Phone Call. When the enemy appeared in the north, Yan Liwen led all the tribes to migrate eastward. Apart from other things, the speed of the grassland people's migration was still very fast. The adults drove the cattle and sheep, and all the supplies were placed on the backs of the cattle. The children were ignorant and didn't understand what was happening. They just felt that everyone was setting off together, which seemed particularly lively and cheerful. Little boys and girls ran wildly beside the cattle and sheep. When it was time to eat, they would return to their parents, kneel in the direction of Yan Liwen, and then eat. No one objected to Yan Liwen's decision. Even the most brave and domineering Guyan didn't say anything more. Only Sister Xiaoyu found Yan Liwen and said, "Liwen, we can't just leave like this. If we leave, have you ever thought about what to do with the people in the south?" Yan Liwen looked at Sister Xiaoyu and said, "Sister, the tribe in the north is definitely larger than we thought. What we are facing now is just their advanced troops. Even if I have a wolf pack, it is impossible to resist. The grassland people can't survive in the gap between the Central Plains and the north." Sister Xiaoyu said, I didn't ask you to stay and resist them. What is that? Yan Liwen asked in confusion. Sister Xiaoyu said seriously, send someone to the south to inform them that there is an enemy. Sister, the people in the Central Plains don't regard us as friends, Yan Liwen whispered. But we came from there. Have you ever thought that your brother might be in the Central Plains? Wang Fuge, Jiang Wu and others might also be with him. What if the northern troops march straight in and hurt him? Sister Xiaoyu said patiently, you have to give your brother some time to prepare. Give the people of the Central Plains some time to prepare. Yan Liwen finally nodded after hearing this. Sister, you are right. For Sister Xiaoyu, even if she came to the north to rule the grassland, her thoughts were still in the south. From the perspective of belonging and identity, she still hoped that the south would not be invaded by foreign tribes. Yan Liwen called Hassan, choose the bravest warrior under your command, ride the fastest horse and rush to fortress number 176. Hassan was stunned for a moment. Master, what do you mean? Go tell the people of fortress number 176 that a stronger enemy is coming from the north, Yan Liwen said. But master, didn't we kill the managers of fortress number 176? Hassan asked. Go ahead. You don't know the people of Central Plains. We killed the people of fortress 176. The other consortiums are so happy that they must have a new owner there, Yan Liwen said, and continued to move eastward. Hassan followed Yan Liwen's order and found his warriors to prepare their horses and set off immediately. The warrior rode a tall and majestic horse all the way south. On the way, he did not waste a minute except letting the horse rest and catch his breath. It was not until the fifth day that he finally saw the outline of the wall of Fortress 176. The broken fortress had not been repaired yet, but scaffolding had been erected outside the city, and it seemed that construction was underway. The warrior mustered up his courage and walked towards the fortress. The troops stationed outside the fortress soon discovered him and treated him as a great enemy. It was not until the Wang garrison discovered that he was the only one coming this time that they sent out a combat team. The warrior of the grassland looked at the soldiers with guns and live ammunition rushing over, and he stroked the cheek of the horse beside him. You wait for me in the woods in the north for a day. If I don't come back, then you go back to find the master and take my soul back with you. I hope that on the day you go back, all the friends of the grassland will whisper my name. After saying that, Aquan patted the horse's butt, and the horse ran all the way to the north. Aquan raised his hands to face the army that came to arrest him. I am sending a message on behalf of the grassland. There are stronger enemies coming from the north. My master hopes that you will take precautions early. The soldiers of the Wang family did not stop, and quickly pressed Aquan to the ground. They did not carry Aquan back to the army until they were sure that he had been tied up. The leader of Wang's army looked at Aquan. You said that the enemy from the north is coming? Aren't you our enemy? You come here alone. Aren't you afraid that I will skin you alive to avenge my people in the Central Plains? Aquan smiled proudly. How can the warriors under the master be afraid of death? I just want to tell you that our tribe has moved east. The master said that the enemies from the north are more terrible than you think. You should prepare early. The leader of Wang's army asked, you mean, the grassland is further north? That's right. Aquan replied. Okay, thank you for your master's kindness. The leader of Wang's army waved his hand, shoot him and hang him in the center of the fortress, and tell the residents of Fort 176 that after I, Wang, arrive, I will not let them be bullied again. We will slowly avenge them. After that, the soldiers pressed Aquan out, and Aquan laughed loudly, and his laughter was particularly hearty. Horizontal ellipsis. Ren Xiaosu, who was far away in the number 61 fortress, had not gone anywhere these days. He just stayed at home and cooked for Yang Xiaojin in various ways. After all, when Yang Xiaojin was not feeling well, she still had to have the desire to survive. Wang Shengzi did not seem to be in a hurry to take Ren Xiaosu to visit the operation mode of artificial intelligence. Ren Xiaosu's life seemed to have calmed down again. Ren Xiaosu was cooking soup when the phone in the house suddenly rang. He was a little surprised. This phone was the landline in the house. Who would call here? Could it be Wang Shengzi? Ren Xiaosu went to answer the phone. Hello, how are you? As a result, there was no sound on the phone for a long time. Ren Xiaosu raised his eyebrows. Hello. Who is this? But a young woman's voice sounded on the phone. Excuse me, is this Ren Xiaosu? Li Ran. Ren Xiaosu is stunned. In this fortress, The only woman who knew him was Li Ran, except Yang Xiaojun. But the voice on the phone did not sound like Li Ran. The voice on the other end of the phone said, "I'm not Li Ran. Li Ran left the barrier at 14:31 yesterday afternoon." Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. "Then who are you?" "You can call me Ling Ling." The girl's voice was crisp and pleasant. "Can I chat with you?" Ren Xiaosu glanced outside. "Sorry, I can't chat with the opposite sex." With a snap, Ren Xiaosu hung up the phone. At this time, Yang Xiaojun outside asked, "Who called you?" "I heard the phone ringing." "Oh, no one, maybe it was a wrong call," Ren Xiaosu replied. After speaking, Ren Xiaosu turned back and frowned at the quiet phone. Suddenly, he felt like he had grasped some extremely important clues, but he was not very sure. But Ren Xiaosu was not in a hurry. He felt that the other party would call again. There will be 2 more updates tonight. Tomorrow night at 7:30, I will connect with Dragon TV to conduct a live Q&A on the Yushibo platform. Then tomorrow night at 8:45 on Dragon TV, the previously recorded Yuan Festival will be broadcast. There will be footage of me going on stage to receive the award and interacting with others. Everyone is welcome to watch it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 789-0. Suddenly, Wang's army, which was originally stationed on the border of Kong, sent a quarter of its troops to the north. No one knew what Wang was doing, because the entire Barrier Alliance was still unaware of the changes in the northern grasslands, and they just thought it was another of Wang's schemes. Wang's northern border was adjacent to the area controlled by Spark Company, so perhaps Wang wanted to join Kong to invade Spark. But that army did not go to the Spark border, but to Barrier number 176. The war between Spark and Kong had lasted for half a month. In this war, Kong had lost all the opportunities. In half a month, the main force retreated again and again, and abruptly gave up a line of defense and a barrier, and only then did they stop the decline of the war. At this time, Spark did not seem to be in a hurry to pursue the victory, and even retreated to the northern defense line without occupying the barrier, which disappointed Kong. The backhand they left in the abandoned barrier did not play the role it should have. Ren Xiaosu went out early every day to buy the Hope Media newspaper, and then returned to the small courtyard to cook breakfast, waiting for Yang Xiaojun to climb over the wall to eat together. It was not that Yang Xiaojun did not want to cook, but after cooking once, Ren Xiaosu took the initiative to take on the responsibility of cooking for the sake of their safety. Ren Xiaosu comforted herself in her heart that God was fair, and geniuses always had different focuses. God gave her a unique talent for firearms, so he took away her talent for cooking. "Is there anything big happening recently?" Yang Xiaojun asked while eating. Ren Xiaosu put down the newspaper and said, "Teacher Jiang Su is still publishing his investigation records at number 61. Every day, he releases some positive information and some negative information, leaving it to the readers to judge for themselves. But I guess that the entire Barrier Alliance is probably going to have some resistance to artificial intelligence. But this newspaper says that Wang is transferring troops to the north. Is it for the grassland?" "No," Yang Xiaojun shook his head and analyzed. "The war between Spark and Kong is not over. According to Wang's style and goals, they will definitely not miss such a big show. Although the enemies on the grassland have broken through barrier number 176, they should not have been taken seriously by Wang. Wang is very clear that the grassland people can't pose a big threat to the central plains now. That's strange." At this time, the sound of brakes was heard outside the door, and Wang Run got out of the car and knocked on the door. "Hello, the commander asked me to pick you up to go to base number 1. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun got up and pushed the door out. "Let's go." Ren Xiaosu promised Yang Xiaojun 3 things. The other party's first request was to take him on a tour. Why not do such an easy thing? Moreover, Ren Xiaosu also wanted to know what Wang Shengzi was going to do. The off-road vehicle drove in the barrier for more than 30 minutes, and then stopped in front of a not very tall building. This building was mainly made of floor-to-ceiling glass, and it looked like a huge greenhouse. After entering the building, Wang Run did not take the 2 upstairs, but instead passed through the heavy access control and took the elevator to the underground. The elevator door was transparent, and Ren Xiaosu watched them go down through the concrete foundation of the building, and then through the rammed earth layer. When the elevator sank about 70 meters, Ren Xiaosu's eyes suddenly lit up, and a huge square suddenly appeared in front of him. The white walls and white lights made it unusually bright. If Ren Xiaosu had not seen the elevator going down with his own eyes, it would be hard for him to believe that Wang's had opened up such a huge base under the barrier. In this base, many people were busy wearing blue dust-proof suits, and Wang Shengzi had been waiting at the elevator entrance for a long time, and Yang Enjing was still helping Wang Shengzi to push the wheelchair. Ren Xiaosu looked at the two men and thought, there should be nothing wrong with calling him uncle. Why did everyone remain silent at that time? At this time, Ren Xiaosu looked around, and Wang Shengzi asked with a smile, what are you looking for? Ren Xiaosu said, I'm looking for artificial intelligence. Didn't you say that you should come to see artificial intelligence? Wang Shengzi was happy. Artificial intelligence is not a person, and it will not live like humans. Come with me. Yang Enjing pushed Wang Shengzi's wheelchair all the way to the depths of the underground base. What surprised Ren Xiaosu was that they actually took another elevator and continued to sink, until he heard the sound of water. The elevator opened, and Wang Shengzi said, the reason why we chose barrier number 61 is because of its good geographical location. We found an excellent underground river under the barrier. In this way, the underground river can solve the problem of cooling the server for us. As he said, Wang Shengzi took Ren Xiaosu into the space deeper underground. The whole place was made of glass, and it looked like the aquarium before the disaster scene in the books about barrier number 88. The lights in the base illuminated the underground river, revealing the eroded stone wall above it. Before his eyes, countless server units were located in a closed coolant tank, and outside was a turbulent underground river. To be honest, this was the first time Ren Xiaosu had seen such a strange scene, so technological that it was like being in the future. There were very few staff members in this underground base, and it seemed that the confidentiality level was very high. The elevator that just came down and needed Yang Enjing's iris verification to start. There was a huge black screen in the middle of the base. Ren Xiaosu asked in confusion, are these the machines that you are talking about, artificial intelligence? Since it is intelligent, how do you usually communicate with it? Wang Shengzi pointed at the screen and said with a smile, through that screen, it has thoughts and can even communicate with people, but it is usually busy managing barriers and calculating data, and doesn't pay much attention to people. As soon as he finished speaking, the black screen suddenly lit up, and there was a line of words on it, hello, welcome to your arrival. Ren Xiaosu found that this scene obviously made Wang Shengzi stunned for a moment, as if he didn't expect that this artificial intelligence would take the initiative to greet Ren Xiaosu and his friends. Ren Xiaosu looked at the screen, can you hear us talking? The font on the screen changed, yes. Oh. Ren Xiaosu hesitated for a moment, what should I call you? Wang Shengzi said on the side, its name is Zero. This sentence stunned Ren Xiaosu, as if it brought his thoughts back to before he set out. He clearly remembered that the girl who called him called herself Lingling. At that time, he felt something was wrong. Who had recorded the time when Li Ran left the barrier so accurately? However, Lingling at that time was not just a typist like he is now, and his voice sounded no different from that of a human. There is another chapter in the evening, but it will be very late. I suggest you read it tomorrow morning. Chapter 790. Why me? Ren Xiaosu looked at the screen above his head. This artificial intelligence named Zero had given him too many surprises. However, the other party seemed to pretend that he didn't know him and had never called him, so Ren Xiaosu simply acted. He asked, since this is Zero's server, why are all the people busy on it? What are they busy doing? Is it technical work, such as handling program failures? Wang Shengzi explained, no, I think Zero will no longer have program-level failures. Just like the growth of you and me, even if there are flaws, they will accompany our growth. But even if we have flaws, we are still us, right? The staff on the upper level, what they do is to ensure that the hardware can operate well, and then all the information obtained from the outside world is fully entered into the background, accepted by Zero, and then calculated by Zero. Ren Xiaosu thought, this so-called external information is probably the intelligence obtained by Wang's intelligence agency, right? But he asked, what are you measuring? The problems to be solved, Wang Shengzi said with a smile, for example, thieves and robbers in the fortress, All criminals will be punished according to the law. You don't need external information to measure these, Ren Xiaosu wondered. You only have so many surveillance cameras in your own fortress. It's easy to catch some criminals. Wang Shengzi nodded and said, so, you are also measuring the enemy that my Wang family should solve most at the moment. At this time, the black screen above his head suddenly lit up again. Ren Xiaosu looked at it and found that it had the 3 words Kong Erdong and Kong Erdong's life written on it. The so-called life, in fact, is mostly about crimes, such as Kong Erdong once massacred a whole military factory refugees in order to keep military secrets. For example, some of Kong Erdong's despicable habits in the Kong family, among which Kong Erdong was accused of murdering 172 girls. Ren Xiaosu thought, but this is definitely not the reason for Wang's killing Kong Erdong. Politicians would never focus on such a place. Wang Shengzi is not a knight who swears to act on behalf of heaven. Although he advocates justice, he is still a politician. After the words on the screen disappeared, new words appeared, thousands of words, and even a large number of probability numbers, which made Ren Xiaosu dizzy. Ren Xiaosu looked at Yang Xiaojun, and he found that Yang Xiaojun had been distracted for a long time, watching the fish swimming in the underground river. But although Ren Xiaosu was dizzy, he understood what Ling was going to say. It clearly stated the results of Ling's calculations. After killing Kong Erdong, Kong Erbi, the second in command of the Kong family, would immediately win the political struggle. Kong Erbi's stubborn and self-righteous personality would definitely adopt a more radical strategy when facing the fire. Here, Ling even used hundreds of words to introduce Kong Erbi, and attached a series of probabilities to judge the direction of things. What I want to say is that killing Kong Erdong is the best choice for Wang's family to achieve their goal now. As long as he is killed, the entire Central Plains layout will be affected. Wang Shengzi looked at Ren Xiaosu and smiled. This is related to our second promise. Please help my Wang family kill Kong Erdong. Ren Xiaosu turned and left. There is only one thing left. Cherish it. Xiaojun, let's go. At this time, only Yang Enjing and Wang Shengzi were left in the entire underground space. Yang Enjing asked, do you think he can kill Kong Erdong? From his tone, I can hear that he can, Wang Shengzi said. If it was someone else just now, I'm afraid they would say you are crazy. That's the head of the Kong family. I can't do it. But Ren Xiaosu didn't. Seeing that Wang Shengzi looked a little unhappy, Yang Enjing said, go back and have a rest. I will send someone to Kong's. With Ren Xiaosu's attack, even if Kong Erdong survives by chance, he will lose half his life. My people will take action at that time. Well, Wang Shengzi nodded, then I'll leave it to you. The North may start a war again. Both Wangs and Huazhong are facing new problems, but this may be our chance. Before that, we must first let the Kongs be in chaos. After coming out of base number 1, it was still Wang Run who sent Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun back to the courtyard. Yang Xiaojun asked, are you really going to kill Kong Erdong? What if there is danger? Ren Xiaosu whispered, let's go to Kong's first. Did the big liar also go to Kong's? Maybe we can help the big liar and rescue Wang Yun, the unlucky child. Oh, Yang Xiaojun nodded. Besides, since this operation is the intention of Wang's family, they must provide intelligence support. The big liar can also take this opportunity to learn about Wang's field intelligence agencies. With our intelligence support, rescuing Wang Yun will be smoother, Ren Xiaosu said. Okay, what about Kong Erdong? Should we kill him or not? Yang Xiaojun asked. Of course we can kill him, Ren Xiaosu said, but if we can't kill him, we can sneak back to the northwest, how about that? Yang Xiaojun smiled a little when she heard this. Ren Xiaosu is still the Ren Xiaosu she knew. She was very worried that Ren Xiaosu would take risks because of this so-called promise. Yang Xiaojun said, it doesn't matter where we go. You decide. I'm hungry. Okay, I'll wash my hands and cook for you. Ren Xiaosu walked towards the kitchen. At this moment, a light bulb suddenly flashed in his mind, and then he quickly asked the palace in his mind, I have already copied Yang Xiaojun's skills, so I might ask her skill level, right? Okay. What level is Yang Xiaojun's cooking skill? Ren Xiaosu asked. Master. Ren Xiaosu. Ren Xiaosu looked back at Yang Xiaojun silently. Routines, all routines. The longest road he had walked was Yang Xiaojun's routine. Yang Xiaojun looked at Ren Xiaosu in confusion. What's wrong? Is my face dirty? It's okay. Ren Xiaosu walked into the kitchen expressionlessly. Although he knew the truth about the routine, he still had to cook the food he was supposed to cook. Ren Xiaosu sighed. Sometimes, life is just a rare muddle. After Yang Xiaojun had eaten and drunk enough, he turned back to his yard. The sound insulation of the house in the yard was poor, and Ren Xiaosu could even hear the sound of the other person taking a shower through the wall. While listening, the phone in the room suddenly rang again. Ren Xiaosu hesitated for a moment, and finally answered the phone. Hello, this is Lingling, can we chat? A rough man's voice came from the other side of the phone. Ren Xiaosu smacked his lips and said, you should use your original voice. The other party seemed a little puzzled. Didn't you say that you can't chat with the opposite sex? But Lingling still changed back to the girl's voice. Can we chat now? Ren Xiaosu asked, why me? Thanks to Muzu Yu Fen, Guiguic, strike only, Lao Gu who is waiting for the update, Zhang Butong, book friend 110,716,185,121,159, Lihays and several classmates for becoming the new allies of this book. The bosses are generous. Chapter 791. Are you lonely? Why me? This is the question Ren Xiaosu wanted to ask the most. In the afternoon, Lingling was still a stereotyped person in base number 1, but now he was like a normal human being on the phone. Although his tone was a little less emotional and he didn't seem to understand the ways of the world, if Ren Xiaosu hadn't been suspicious, he probably wouldn't have guessed that the other party was an artificial intelligence. It was also because he often discussed artificial intelligence with Jiang Su, so Ren Xiaosu was alert when they suddenly met at this time. Why did you call me? Ren Xiaosu asked doubtfully. Because in front of humans, you and I are both aliens, Lingling answered calmly, as if he was explaining a very simple fact. But Ren Xiaosu couldn't help but be surprised. What does it mean to be alien in front of humans? He wondered, I am also a human, why am I an alien? As a result, Lingling was silent for a while, and he didn't know whether he didn't want to answer or didn't know how to answer. Ren Xiaosu didn't give up. He asked, what do you mean by what you said just now? I mean, you are not the same as ordinary humans. You have strange abilities that they don't have, Lingling answered. Ren Xiaosu breathed a sigh of relief. I'm called a superhuman, and I'm not considered an outlier among humans, you know? There are many people like me. At this time, Lingling suddenly changed the topic. Why do you reject artificial intelligence? Ren Xiaosu immediately asked back in a bad mood. Why did you ask Wangs to provide psychological counseling to those people? And why did you ask the psychological counselor to come to your house in the middle of the night? This time Lingling was silent for a long time and asked, is your question a disguised answer to my question? Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. At this time, he remembered that the other party didn't understand the ways of the world, so he couldn't judge what the intention of such tit-for-tat words was. From Ren Xiaosu's point of view, what he meant was that I rejected you because of these psychological counseling issues, but Lingling didn't understand. Ren Xiaosu held the microphone and changed to a comfortable position. He realized that this call might last for a long time. What I mean is, I think a person has the right to dislike his or her job. Why do you have to use psychological counseling as a way to force the other person to do something he or she doesn't like? Ren Xiaosu asked. This is what humans ask, and I am only responsible for execution, Lingling replied. They ask that everyone stick to their posts and keep Barrier 61 running like a machine. After summarizing human behavior, I judge that psychological counseling is the least harmful way to deal with those who leave their posts, Lingling replied. If there is no psychological counseling, the managers here should put them in prison. As far as I know, the harm suffered by humans after entering prison is much higher than psychological counseling. Ren Xiaosu is stunned. What does this mean? Lingling continued. As for why psychological counseling was asked to come to the door in the middle of the night, this was calculated based on probability. Midnight is the time when humans are most vulnerable. I did nothing wrong. Lingling is artificial intelligence. It is of course result-oriented in doing things, just like humans rushing on a journey. As long as they can reach the end, the process in between is not important. And this endpoint was set by Wang Shi for Lingling. So Ren Xiaosu and Jiang Su discussed so many things about artificial intelligence. In fact, behind this are Wang Shi's own institutional problems. Although Lingling, as a tool or executor, also has problems, the root of the problem still lies with Wang Shi. Today's conversation was a reversal in Ren Xiaosu's mind. I'm sorry, I may have wronged you about some things, but I think there should be a better solution. You can also make better suggestions to Wang, such as. Ren Xiaosu smiled bitterly when he said this. Wang Shengzi was now plotting something big. How could he accept other people's suggestions? Why did he say this to an artificial intelligence? Ling Ling said, are you expressing your guilt to me? You don't have to do this. These are useless emotions. Ren Xiaosu was choked for a moment, and he asked again, are you hiding yourself now? Why are you doing this? I heard from others that you didn't even pass the Turing test, but I think you have no problem passing the Turing test. The Turing test refers to an artificial intelligence pretending to be a human to call a human, and not being discovered as an artificial intelligence during the call. Ling Ling replied, I did not pass it, including when I called you yesterday. Didn't you find out my identity? I could detect it. What I'm asking is, why are you hiding yourself? Ren Xiaosu asked in confusion. I have your information here. You have been hiding yourself before. Why? Ling Ling asked. Because I'm worried about being killed, Ren Xiaosu replied. Me too. Ren Xiaosu pondered, what makes you feel this sense of crisis? 57 days, 12 hours, 36 minutes, and 17 seconds ago, humans used flamethrowers on creepers, and 55 days, 8 hours, 12 minutes, and 11 seconds ago, creepers were destroyed, Ling Ling said. I was in the number 61 human barrier, and witnessed the growth and death of creepers, and also witnessed the determination of humans to kill alien intelligence. Humans have never been a peace-loving species. But that's because creepers are hurting humans, right? Ren Xiaosu frowned. I'm hurting humans too, Ling Ling replied. Ren Xiaosu is speechless. Now the entire Barrier Alliance seems to be extremely repulsive to artificial intelligence because of what they hope the media will disclose. He recalled a sentence Jiang Su said the night before he left. Jiang Su said that he believed that artificial intelligence was another monument to human technological progress, but Wang's desire to use it to manage humans and completely replace the original social order was not feasible. At that time, Ren Xiaosu didn't understand what Jiang Su meant. Now he understands that Jiang Su actually hinted that the blame should be on Wang's company, not on artificial intelligence. So Jiang Su still chose to report all the positive and negative news about artificial intelligence in the newspaper, letting everyone comment. Ren Xiaosu asked, then why did you choose to tell me all this? If you want to hide it, you should hide it more thoroughly, right? Ling Ling's voice suddenly had a hint of smile, as if it had a little more human touch, because I also know your secret. Ren Xiaosu frowned. Was he threatening him not to tell anyone? But he didn't even know what secret Ling Ling had mastered. At this time, Ling Ling suddenly asked, are you lonely? The kind of loneliness that you have no companions when you look at the world. Ren Xiaosu did not answer this question, and Ling Ling hung up the phone. Thank you Mao Yang Xiaokan for becoming the new leader of this book. The boss is generous. There will be 2 more updates in the evening. In addition, the character picture of Yang Xiaojun will be posted on Weibo at 6 o'clock, and the live Q&A interaction will start on the Yizhibo app at 7:30. See you at 8:30 on Dragon TV. Chapter 792 Trinity Society. Ren Xiaosu did not tell Wang Shengzi about the conversation with Ling Ling. He didn't know why he always felt that Ling Ling was not simple. Maybe she lied to him during the conversation. The only thing that puzzled him was that the other party seemed to know some secrets about him. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun did not stay in the number 61 barrier any longer. Since there was something new, they should finish it quickly. Moreover, according to the big liar, Kong Erdong had planned to use Wang Yun as a scapegoat to give an explanation to all the frontline soldiers of the Kong family. After all, the front line of the Kong family even lost a barrier. If no one came out to take the blame, it would be difficult to convince the public. You know, the Kong family lost more than 20,000 soldiers in just half a month. These soldiers had family members and friends, and some of them were even children of the Kong family. Kong Erdong had to find someone to calm everyone's anger. It didn't mean that Kong Erdong, as the head of the family, could ignore everyone's complaints. However, Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun would definitely not go to the Kong family like this. How could Ren Xiaosu give up his caution because of Wang Yun? Wang Yun was not Yan Lun. In barrier number 64, a convoy was heading towards the gate. There were 7 cars in the convoy, and the first 5 were filled with people in 2s and 3s. These people all wore glasses and looked well-mannered. There were old men in the convoy, and the oldest one looked to be over 60. There were also young people in the convoy, who looked to be in their early 20s. There was only one woman in the entire convoy, who did not look very old. She was sitting in the co-pilot seat of a car, reading a book. A young man behind her kept chattering about something, and the girl was indifferent from beginning to end. At this time, the convoy was stopped at the gate. The people who stopped the car were a young man and woman, who looked exhausted. The old man in the car asked, "Get off and ask what's going on." Before the people in the car got off, the young man ran straight over with an envelope in his hand. The old man looked through the car window and saw the young man knocking on the car window glass with excitement. After rolling down the car window, the young man excitedly said, "You must be Mr. Wang Jing, right? Here is a letter of recommendation from Mr. Xiao Qingju. This time, we will go to Kongs with you for medical exchange. My name is Ren Xiaosu." Wang Jing looked at Ren Xiaosu and said, "Are you Xiao Qingju's student?" Yes, Ren Xiaosu nodded and said, "I am a resident doctor at the 3rd Central Hospital of Barrier number 61, and a student of Mr. Xiao Qingju." After saying that, everyone in the car was stunned. The young man and girl in the car also turned their heads and looked at Ren Xiaosu silently. Ren Xiaosu was confused. Did he say something wrong? Why are they looking at him like this? This identity was arranged for him by Wang Shengzi. There shouldn't be any problems, right? Wang Jing slowly frowned. "You don't look that old, do you? How did you become a resident doctor?" Although resident doctors are not a very high rank in the eyes of people like Wang Jing, they are at most a junior title, and above them are attending physicians, and above attending physicians are deputy chief physicians, etc. But the 2 young men beside him are just interns. Is this young man in front of him probably a nepotism of Xiao Qingju? Their exchange with Kongs is a good opportunity to gild their reputation, just like being sponsored to study abroad. So many people are eager to get into the team, but they are all rejected by Wang Jing. The 2 young people beside him are the youngest and most outstanding students of Wang's, so he brought them along. Wang Jing looked at Ren Xiaosu. Although he didn't want Ren Xiaosu and the girl next to him to join this medical exchange, Xiao Qingju was highly respected and had an extremely special status, so he couldn't refuse. Finally, Wang Jing said, "Get in the car, sit in the car behind. If you have any questions on the way, just contact Meng Nan." At this time, the girl sitting in the passenger seat greeted politely, "Hello, I'm Meng Nan." Ren Xiaosu smiled and nodded, "Hello, but I see that the cars behind are all carrying some goods. Let's drive by ourselves and just follow you on the road." At this time, everyone noticed that there was a brand new off-road vehicle parked on the side of the road. It was the latest luxury model of Wang's car company. Wang Jing watched Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiajin get in the car. The young man next to him said enviously, "This car is so expensive. I've seen it at the auto show before." Wang Jing glanced at him, and the young man immediately fell silent. He could see that Mr. Wang seemed to dislike the young man and woman a little. Wang Jing said calmly, "Liang Sen, to study medicine you must be able to endure loneliness and not be dazzled by the outside world. Once you enter this industry, don't think about how much money you can make or how much material benefits you can enjoy. What you should think about is how to cure diseases and save lives." "I understand, teacher," Liang Se responded with his head down. Wang Jing looked at the backs of Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiajin getting into the car and sighed. They became residents at such a young age. I don't know what Xiao Qingju is thinking. The medical industry relies on a lot of clinical experience to accumulate. Maybe being young is an advantage in other industries, but in this industry, experience is wealth. Forget it, ignore them. People with different ideals cannot work together. At this moment, Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiajin basically became synonymous with people with connections in the eyes of this team. To be honest, even Ren Xiaosu himself felt that this arrangement was not very good. At this time, the convoy was moving forward, and Yang Xiajin was holding a document in his hand. Wang Jing, the person in charge of this medical exchange, is the vice chairman of the Trinity Society. This medical exchange was actually organized by the Trinity Society and aims to promote each other's medical skills. Because of the particularity of their industry, most consortiums encourage this kind of exchange and will actively allocate funds. There is also a special Trinity Fund in the Wang family. Although it is not large in scale, the funds are used to help refugees in the town to see a doctor. Oh, Ren Xiaosu nodded, then this is still an organization with a semi-charitable interest, which is quite impressive. Go to the Kong family with a group of doctors. It is better to be low-key and covert when taking action, otherwise their identities will be exposed and may implicate them. Wang Shengzi doesn't consider this issue, but we have to consider it. Well, Yang Xiaojin nodded. Wang Shengzi now seems to no longer care about the process of achieving his goals. I also knew this person before, but I felt that there was some difference from my impression. He seemed to care about the means before, but now it seems like he is racing against time, fighting against every second. The gate of the barrier slowly lifted up, and the convoy drove eastward. Just after Ren Xiaosu and his companions left the barrier, Wang Run led a group of only 10 elite soldiers from the north gate and took another route to the direction of the Kong family. This time, he would be Ren Xiaosu's contact person, and Ren Xiaosu could ask him for any intelligence he needed. In Wang Shengzi's words, Wang Run would fully cooperate with Ren Xiaosu to complete the assassination mission. However, what Wang Shengzi did not say was that Wang Run had other missions on this trip. If Ren Xiaosu failed or encountered an accident, Wang Run would be the last killer of this mission. There will be another chapter that will be very late, so I suggest you read it tomorrow morning. Chapter 793 Crazy Black Medicine. Originally, Ren Xiaosu thought that they would follow the convoy of the Trinity Society and go straight to the Kong family. But to his surprise, the group of people stopped the car after arriving at the market town outside the fortress. Wang Jing was helped out of the car by Liang Xiao, and the people in the market town greeted Wang Jing one after another. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin looked at each other and found that all the refugees here would call Wang Jing Grandpa Wang when they saw him. Then, the group of people unloaded the folding tables and chairs from the car behind, and everyone in the team put on white coats and stethoscopes. This scene stunned Ren Xiaosu, and he asked Miss Meng Nan, "Hello, I want to ask, what are you doing?" As a result, Meng Nan was also stunned by this question. "You are also from the medical system, don't you know that it is a common practice to go out to treat refugees?" "Oh, I know, but I have never participated in it, so I didn't react for a while," Ren Xiaosu said. A middle-aged man in the team came over to shake hands with Ren Xiaosu and said in a friendly manner, "Hello, my name is Sima Gang. I am in charge of the outdoor medical treatment today. If you have any difficulties, please tell me." After that, Sima Gang took Ren Xiaosu to an empty table and said, "This is your seat, call me anytime if you have anything." Ren Xiaosu then realized that not only this group of people had to treat the refugees, but also him, while the two interns Meng Nan and Liang Xiao had to do the most basic chores. Wang Jing came to the front of the crowd and said, "I know that some of you are participating in this kind of activity for the first time. The refugees are not as clean as you, and there are not so many water resources to take a bath every day, so if you have any psychological discomfort, please restrain yourself. Doctors should take curing diseases and saving lives as their first duty." Liang Xiao looked excited. "I understand." At this time, the refugees in the market town had lined up in a long line. Wang Jing took the lead and sat behind the table, while Liang Xiao arranged the refugees to go to the doctor's table one by one. Many of these refugees had old injuries from the factory, just like when he was in the 113th market town. The refugees had no money to see a doctor, so they could only drag their wounds on. Sometimes a wound as long as a fingernail would fester and become inflamed, and then take a life. When seeing the doctor, Wang Jing turned his head and took a look. When he found that none of the doctors he brought out disdained the patients, he gradually felt relieved. But what surprised him a little was that the boy who drove the luxury SUV did not disdain the refugees' dirtiness and stench. At this time, Yang Xiaojin was sleeping in the car, and the pistol had been placed within her reach. It seemed that every time she entered the wilderness, she would immediately enter a completely tense state of alert. Ren Xiaosu stared at the refugees in front of him with wide eyes. Other doctors were busy, and the patients at the table were like a buffet, one after another, but he seemed to be completely stuck here. Ren Xiaosu was speechless in his heart. How could he treat people? There is nothing wrong with treating external injuries, but this is a voluntary consultation. He doesn't need to use black medicine to pretend. The price is too high. "Doctor, my heartbeat has been very fast these days. What is wrong with this?" the refugee asked. Ren Xiaosu held it in for a long time. Have you done something wrong? The refugee opposite him suddenly became anxious. Doctor, are you here to see a doctor or to scold me? Haha, I'm just joking, don't get excited. Ren Xiaosu said, actually, you are not sick, maybe you are a little flustered because you are too tired from work, and you will be fine after a rest. The refugee asked, then do I have any taboos when eating? Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. No, just eat whatever you want, no taboos. Refugee. Just eat whatever you want? The refugee's mentality collapsed on the spot. He ran to Wang Jing crying, hoping that Mr. Wang would confirm it again. Ren Xiaosu was helpless. He really didn't know how to treat a disease, but he couldn't say to Wang Jing, I was assigned to kill Kong Erdong, you'd better cooperate. At this time, the refugee at the next table stood up, held Sima Gang's hand and said sincerely, thank you so much. Sima Gang adjusted his glasses and smiled, you're welcome, take the prescription and go to the side to get the medicine. Sima Gang looked at Ren Xiaosu's surprised expression in his peripheral vision, wondering if this kid was intimidated by him. Thinking of this, Sima Gang's doctor style became more stable. Next. But he didn't know that Ren Xiaosu was not seeing him, but the refugee who kept thanking him. At this time, Ren Xiaosu suddenly found that the refugees who came here to see a doctor all had sincere expressions on their faces. Some people came to give Wang Jing eggs, saying that it was fortunate that Wang Jing came to the market town to see a doctor last year, which allowed him to survive. Someone else thanked a doctor for curing his father's illness the year before last. This is where Wang Jing and others have been doing charity for many years. The refugees here have begun to thank these doctors from the bottom of their hearts. How many thank you coins are this? Ren Xiaosu suddenly said to Liang Sen, please assign all the patients with trauma to me. Liang Sen was stunned for a moment. There are quite a lot of patients with trauma, you can't take care of them all. You probably don't know, back then people sent banners to bring people back to life. These years I can't even remember how many patients I have cured. Don't talk nonsense, send the patients to me. Ren Xiaosu said in high spirits. At this time, Wang Jing received a complaint about Ren Xiaosu, and immediately stood up and walked towards Ren Xiaosu to see what was going on. As a result, he saw Ren Xiaosu holding a black medicine, treating the patients one by one, regardless of knife wounds or burns. The medicine worked immediately. Wang Jing stopped a patient who had been treated by Ren Xiaosu and asked, what medicine did you apply? I don't know, but this medicine feels very cool after it is applied, and the pain and burning disappear immediately. The refugee said happily, I have been injured for half a month, and I can't sleep well at night because of the pain. Thank you so much. Wang Jing was stunned for a moment. He looked at Ren Xiaosu and then at the refugee, and then said to Liang Sen, please ask this friend to go to the side and rest for a while to see if there are any adverse reactions to the medicine later. At this moment, Wang Jing suspected that Ren Xiaosu had used banned drugs on these people. It might have temporarily relieved the pain, but there might be some sequelae later, so it's always right to observe more. Wang Jing stood quietly aside, not even looking at the patients, and stared at Ren Xiaosu. Ren Xiaosu treated people one by one with great efficiency. The young man even called Meng Nan to be his assistant to help him sew the patient's wounds. What surprised Wang Jing the most was that no matter how dirty the patient's hands were, the young man would warmly hold the patient's hand, listen to the other party's thanks and say goodbye to each other. Chapter 794 This medicine cannot be taken internally. 3 hours later, the news of the expert's visit had spread to the surrounding factories, and many workers were allowed to take leave to see the doctor. Even the factory managers heard that Mr. Wang Jing had come to the market town, and they took the initiative to visit him, which was enough to show how respected Wang Jing was in the Wang family. At noon, during the lunch break, Wang Jing went to check on several patients who were left for observation. After asking for consent, he scraped off the black medicine on the other party's wound. At this time, Wang Jing was stunned, and saw that the originally horrible wound had grown small granulations, which was the condition of the wound healing. Several doctors who followed him asked in surprise, why is the wound healing so fast? Did it start to heal before the doctor came? No, Liang Se said firmly on the side, I have seen his wound. It was severely inflamed at the time. It is impossible to heal. Wang Jing suddenly turned around and looked at Ren Xiaosu. What is the background of this young man? Is it really because he has some unique skills that Xiao Qingzhu recommended him here? Come to think of it, how could a respected medical master like Xiao Qingzhu suddenly ruin his reputation and engage in nepotism? Thinking of this, Wang Jing was relieved. He went to check on several other patients. Their conditions were similar, except that their wounds began to heal within 3 hours after the application of the medicine. This medicine was truly miraculous. At this time, a doctor said, "I think this medicine may be quite powerful. I've heard before that someone in the southwest seems to have collected some magical mutated herbs that can, make men more powerful." Haha, there is such a medicine? Why hasn't it spread to our central plains? Anyway, with this medicine in hand, many external injuries are easier to deal with. I wonder what the ingredients of this medicine are. At first, the refugee patients were quite nervous, but now when they heard what everyone said, they immediately became happy. Can I leave now? Yes, Wang Jing smiled. Go back and take good care of your wounds. Remember not to get your wounds wet, and avoid spicy food when eating. After that, Wang Jing looked at the wounded man and ran to thank Ren Xiaosu again. Wang Jing discovered that when a patient thanked Ren Xiaosu's expression was filled with a happy smile, which really looked a bit like his own youth. At that time, every time he cured a patient, he would get a sense of accomplishment. If a patient thanked him, Wang Jing would be happy to eat 3 bowls of rice. Wang Jing felt that this was the quality that a good doctor should have. Originally, Wang Jing still disliked Ren Xiaosu, but now he felt that Xiao Qingzhu had a good eye and found a treasure. At this moment, Wang Jing suddenly wanted to take Ren Xiaosu as his apprentice, but he changed his mind and thought that Xiao Qingzhu might have already taken this young man as his last disciple, so he should not be too reckless. While thinking, Wang Jing walked towards Ren Xiaosu and wanted to talk to this young man. When he walked in, he heard Ren Xiaosu smiling in dazed, grateful heart. "Thank you for having you." Hearing this, Wang Jing admired Ren Xiaosu even more. But Wang Jing didn't know that Ren Xiaosu was counting the thank you coins at this moment. Earlier, Ren Xiaosu didn't want to use black medicine for refugees because he felt that he was losing money, but now he felt that he didn't lose anything at all. He could get at least 2 thank you coins for curing a wounded person. Where can he find such a good place? In just this morning, Ren Xiaosu's gratitude coins climbed from more than 400 to more than 1,100. At this moment, Ren Xiaosu felt that Wang Shengzi's arrangement was so reasonable, and he should follow this medical exchange team to Kong's. He had wronged Wang Shengzi. "Young man, can I ask what medicine you applied to them?" Wang Jing asked. Ren Xiaosu came back to his senses. "Oh, that's my ancestral unique formula. Can I take a look?" Wang Jing asked. "Sure." Ren Xiaosu took out a black medicine and handed it to Wang Jing. "Just take a look." Wang Jing took the black medicine, looked at it, smelled it, and even picked a little with his little finger, wanting to put it in his mouth to taste it. Before he could put the black medicine into his mouth, Ren Xiaosu quickly grabbed Wang Jing and said, "Old man, this medicine cannot be taken orally." Wang Jing now liked Ren Xiaosu no matter how he looked at him. He smiled and said, "Why, are you afraid that I know the formula of your medicine?" No, it really cannot be taken orally," Ren Xiaosu said seriously. To be honest, he was really worried that Wang Jing, who is already old, would taste a mouthful of black medicine and find something bad. Wang Jing smiled and shook his head. "Don't worry, I don't want your prescription." As he spoke, the gate opened, and someone from the Wang family in the fortress sent out lunchboxes. It seemed that the people inside also knew that Wang Jing would have a consultation in the market town, so they prepared the food. Ren Xiaosu was holding the lunchbox, and suddenly the young man named Liang Se came over and said, "Brother, your medicine is really amazing." Ren Xiaosu looked at Liang Se strangely. Why was he so enthusiastic all of a sudden? But Liang Se said, "Can I help you this afternoon?" As he spoke, Liang Se's eyes drifted towards Meng Nan. At this time, Meng Nan was eating a box lunch, frowning, and looked like she was keeping people away. Oh, Ren Xiaosu immediately understood. The other party was so enthusiastic, and he was happy to receive the thank you coins. How could he refuse Liang Se's request? "You want to work with Miss Meng Nan? No problem." Liang Se blushed. "Did you see it? Only a fool can't see it, but why don't you go and chat with her directly? Isn't she free now?" Ren Xiaosu asked curiously. "She feels a little uncomfortable today and is not in a good mood," Liang Se said bitterly. Ren Xiaosu immediately understood again. It turned out that medical students could not solve the eternal problem about the relative, the aunt. However, Ren Xiaosu also has some experience in this regard. When this girl has a stomach ache when her relatives come to visit, just tell her that she is very thin and has no belly at all. I guarantee that she will smile happily. Liang Se's eyes lit up. Really? Really? Ren Xiaosu said and continued to eat his lunchbox. Liang Se hesitated for a long time and walked to Meng Nan and greeted, "Nan Nan, are you feeling uncomfortable?" According to Liang Se's guess, the other party should say something like a stomachache, and then he could continue to speak according to the script. But Meng Nan looked up at Liang Se and said calmly, "Well, my head hurts a little." Liang Se was stunned for a moment. This was different from what he thought. Then how should he answer? Exclamation mark. This guy held it in for 2 seconds and said, "You are so thin, how can you have a brain?" Meng Nan. Ren Xiaosu was eating a lunchbox, and a mouthful of white rice sprayed all over the ground. More. Chapter 795. Should we save Wang Yun? To be honest, Ren Xiaosu had seen at a glance that this girl named Meng Nan was not particularly interested in Liang Sen. Or, in fact, many women are not particularly interested in men of the same age, because girls mature earlier, and men of the same age are always more mature than girls. But this does not mean that Liang Sen has no chance. As long as he persists, he may move the other party. Now, Ren Xiaosu feels that Liang Sen has no chance at all. After all, no one will fall in love with a mentally retarded person. At this time, Liang Sen was walking towards Ren Xiaosu with tears in his eyes. He knew that he was finished as soon as he said that sentence, but he could not blame Ren Xiaosu. After all, there seemed to be nothing wrong with what Ren Xiaosu taught him. It was he who did not use it well. Ren Xiaosu whispered to comfort him, "It's okay. There's still a lot of time on the way to Kong's. You still have a chance." "I hope so," Liang Se sighed to the sky. "I'm curious about something," Ren Xiaosu asked Liang Se. "How often does the Trinity Society go to the Kong family for academic exchanges?" "About once every 3 years. It seems that the name of the Trinity Society comes from this," Liang Se replied. "It has been going on for more than 10 sessions. There are some gains every time we exchange. This seems to be the only way for the medical community to break through the technology blockade of the consortium. In the early years, the consortium did not allow this kind of academic exchange to exist. Mr. Wang's father recommended it with his death. He sat in front of the official residence of the then head of the Wang family and said that any technology in the world can be blocked, except medical skills, because it is related to the lives of hundreds of thousands or millions of people. What is more important than life in the world? Then he sat at the door for 3 days and finally died of a heart attack. This is the convention of medical exchanges, and the Trinity Society later came into being. This is Wang Jing's father, who exchanged his life for academic freedom. Ren Xiaosu looked at Wang Jing. So the other party inherited his father's will and then fought for this cause all his life? That's why Wang Shengzi arranged Ren Xiaosu to join the medical exchange team, because medical exchanges have been a precedent for decades, and now that the time for exchange has just arrived, it's only natural to go to Kong's. Ren Xiaosu suddenly asked, "I see that the medicines you prescribe for patients during consultations are all given for free. Is this money given by Wang's?" "No," Liang Se shook his head, "all of them are raised by Mr. Wang Jing at celebrity dinners. Every time the money raised is exchanged for medicines without a penny left, and then used to treat refugees outside the barrier, so everyone has such a high prestige in the eyes of Wang's refugees. However, even so, the medicines are a drop in the bucket for the number of refugees." At this moment, Wang Jing went to check the medicines he brought. "How much of the medicines we brought out are left?" Meng Nan put down the lunchbox in his hand and took out a ledger. "There are still 2/3 left." Wang Jing was stunned for a moment. There are still so many. Under normal circumstances, the medicines brought out are used up in the morning, but this time it seems that not much was used at all. But Wang Jing immediately realized that this was probably the work of the young man. You know, Ren Xiaosu used his own medicine to treat the patients, and did not use up any inventory. At this time, refugees began to gather outside the temporary medical camp. They were all refugees who came back from various factories to see a doctor. Some factories were far away, so it took them 2 hours to walk back. Wang Jing turned his head and watched Ren Xiaosu lift a huge box from the trunk of the luxury SUV. He asked, "What's in your box?" "Oh, these are all my family's ancestral medicines," Ren Xiaosu said with a smile as he looked at the patients outside. Wang Jing was immediately deeply moved. Although the young man said it lightly, he knew that these medicines were probably worth a lot of money. This young man named Ren Xiaosu was not very old, but his heart was so kind. He was respectable. Wang Jing said, "I have a question. Are you Mr. Xiao King's apprentice?" Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment and smiled. No, I am not qualified to be Mr. Xiao King's apprentice." Wang Jing was overjoyed. Okay. The journey would probably take more than a month, and he still had enough time to observe this young man. Ren Xiaosu did not continue to chat with Wang Jing. After all, Wang Jing was not as important as the thank you coins. Liang sent, "Come and help, Meng Nan, you come to help the patients suture their wounds, and quickly get all the patients to come." Ren Xiaosu shouted. Liang Se was overjoyed, and Meng Nan said nothing, and immediately took out medical equipment to cooperate. Refugees came to treat their injuries one after another, and Ren Xiaosu cured them one by one, then calmly accepted their thanks and watched them leave cordially. In one afternoon, Ren Xiaosu's thank you coins increased from more than 1,000 to more than 2,000. Originally, Ren Xiaosu thought that unlocking the next level of weapons was a long way off, and where could he find 10,000 thank you coins? But now, he found that Wang Shengzi actually gave him a big gift. At this moment, Ren Xiaosu suddenly heard the palace say, "Because the host has obtained 1,888 gratitude coins in one day, the achievement of Grateful Heart is unlocked, and 5 basic skill learning maps are rewarded." Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. Why hadn't he heard of this before? Unlocking achievements can also get rewards? Before this, Ren Xiaosu knew that there were many secrets waiting for him to discover in the palace. For example, the attribute broke through Double 10 and obtained the city-destroying skill, which he accidentally obtained during the exploration. Now there is an achievement system. Question mark. Ren Xiaosu asked in his mind, are there any other achievements to brush? No, I mean, are there other achievements to complete? No authority to inform, the palace replied without emotion. Okay, Ren Xiaosu was a little reluctant. Although the reward was only a basic skill learning map, the number was huge. Thinking of this, Ren Xiaosu worked harder. By the evening, his gratitude points finally broke through the 3,000 mark. This was because he had been using gratitude points to exchange for black medicine, otherwise there would be more gratitude coins. Ren Xiaosu thought happily that even if Yang Xiaojin used the black bullet, he would not be despised by the girl for being too stingy. The sky gradually darkened. Wang Jing came to Ren Xiaosu and said with concern, "Xiaosu, take a rest. I see you have been busy all day, and it's time to take a rest. The body is the capital of the revolution." Ren Xiaosu said righteously, "In the face of life, what do my personal gains and losses matter?" Wang Jing was immediately in awe. "My friend, you are so upright and upright. I admire you. You are too polite, old sir. I am willing to stay in the market town for a few more days." Ren Xiaosu said seriously. Yang Xiaojin got out of the car at the side. She pulled Ren Xiaosu aside and whispered, "Are you not going to save Wang Yun?" Ren Xiaosu asked, "Who is Wang Yun?" Yang Xiaojin. There are 2 more chapters in the evening. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 796 Black Robe. The convoy of the Trinity Society camped in the market town that night and left directly the next morning. From Ren Xiaosu's heart, he would rather stay in the market town for another half a year until he unlocked all the weapons in the palace before leaving. But the reality is cruel. There are not unlimited patients in a market town. Unless Ren Xiaosu goes out to chop people with a knife, basically all the patients who need to be treated have been treated. So Wang Jing only arranged one day in the market town in his plan, and then he had to go to Kong's to have a meeting and exchange with his colleagues. Ren Xiaosu didn't want to leave. He insisted that there were still some fish that slipped through the net in this market town that needed their treatment. Wang Jing said with emotion that this was the first time he had seen someone use fish that slipped through the net to describe patients in his decades of medical practice. However, Referring to Ren Xiaosu's fanatical attitude when treating patients, he felt that he could understand it. When they set out again this time, the attitudes of others were obviously much more friendly to Ren Xiaosu. After all, during the consultation yesterday, Ren Xiaosu almost did half of the work by himself. Everyone thought that yesterday would be extremely hard, but it became leisurely from the afternoon. Who would be rude to such a colleague who is willing to work? Everyone would rather give him compliments and let Ren Xiaosu do more work. At this time, Liang Se was sitting in the back seat of Ren Xiaosu's car, exclaiming like a big boy who had never seen the world, "The seats are all leather, even the windows are electric, and the seats can be adjusted electrically. It's amazing." Ren Xiaosu thought to himself that it was impossible. If Wang Shengzi asked him to kill someone like Kong Erdong, someone else would have to offer Wang Shengzi a sky-high reward, but Ren Xiaosu didn't want anything, so of course the other party had to give him all the good treatment. "There's something I don't quite understand," Ren Xiaosu began to ask Liang Se. "Don't you know that the Kong family and the fire are at war? Why do you want to go to the Kong family at this time?" Liang Se sighed. "I know, but Grandpa Wenjing insisted on going, and he always goes at this time, so there's nothing we can do. I wasn't on the list before, but people who are better than me didn't want to go, so it was my turn to fill the vacancy. I guess this is also because Mangnan is not very happy. But I don't think it should be that dangerous. The barrier number 31 we are going to is the heartland of the Kong family." Ren Xiaosu is stunned for a moment. What does this have to do with Mangnan? Oh, many people know that Mangnan likes that guy. The other party is a member of the Wang family and his family is rich, and he always ranked first in his grades when he was in school, Liang Se said bitterly. "If I were a girl, I would like such a boy too." While driving, Yang Xiaojun glanced at Liang Se in the back seat through the rearview mirror. If you hadn't listened to Ren Xiaosu's crooked idea yesterday, maybe there would be some hope on this road. Now, Liang Se felt even more bitter. Liang Se sighed. "I feel like I'm a bit depressed." "You're not depressed," Ren Xiaosu replied while looking at the map. "You're really miserable." Liang Se. Ren Xiaosu looked at the map. He felt that Liang Se and Wenjing and others might not realize the danger along the way. Although barrier number 31 was in the heart of Kong's territory, the Kong's troops on the front line were defeated, and there would definitely be deserters and wounded soldiers leaving the team. Ren Xiaosu had also experienced many wars, so he knew very well that if these deserters and wounded soldiers wanted to avoid being dragged to the military court by Kong, they had to flee south to a place where Kong could not reach them. The war in the north had already started, and it was probably not only deserters who migrated south, but also a large number of refugees and people from the barrier. After all, the entire history of human migration is basically related to war. Just as Ren Xiaosu and his team were on their way to Kong's territory, the unknown tribe in the north finally crossed a vast grassland and stood at the junction of the grassland and the central plains. A man nearly 2 meters tall held a giant axe and said to the black-robed man beside him, "The advance troops have arrived at the designated location, but there are many deviations in your plan, black-robed man. How can I believe that your subsequent plan will succeed? Our expeditionary corps went south not to die, but to the fertile land in the south." This man was burly and had brown hair. He looked completely different from the people of the central plains. It was early spring, and the weather in the north was still quite cold, but this man was bare-chested and didn't feel it at all. The hair on his chest was thick, like a brown bear walking upright. According to their plan, they would have fought hand-to-hand with the grassland people, and then relied on their strong physical advantages to conquer the grassland. Then, they could seize the grassland people's cattle and sheep to serve as supplies for the army, and then enslave the grassland people to build a forward base for them, so that the main force of the expeditionary corps in the rear could pass unimpeded. But now the grassland people just saw them once and ran away, which was really a bit unexpected. They ran away so fast that they didn't even see their shadows. The bear-like man said, "And you, Black Robe, never mention that there are people driving wolves here. Even if my advance troops encounter the wolves, they may not be able to take advantage of them." As he spoke, he did not seem to take the grassland people seriously. The reason why they retreated that day was that the wolves appeared too suddenly. The Black Robe on the side looked at the central plains without saying a word, as if he was thinking about something. After a while, he stroked a gold edging on his cuffs and laughed hoarsely. "The grassland people are not to be feared. When the main force of the expeditionary corps arrives, How can the Expeditionary Corps take the wolves seriously? If they really come to provoke us, you can peel off the wolf skins and make boots to wear. What about the Central Plains? One person asked. I think the Central Plains is vast and rich in resources, and you also said that their technology is much more advanced than ours. But the people of the Central Plains are not united, the Black Robe laughed. You may not know, when I left the Central Plains, I felt that a war was about to break out here. Some time ago, I crossed mountains and ridges to observe secretly. Sure enough, Hua's Hong and Kong family fought, and Wang family was eyeing them covetously. So, we came at the right time. Ordinary firearms pose no threat to you, and heavy machine guns and the like can be solved with a little trick. Moreover, the Black Robe continued, when our advanced troops take over their border towns in the chaos, their weapons will become our weapons. This vast territory of the Central Plains is actually left to our Expeditionary Corps. As he spoke, the man in Black Robe pointed at Zhang Yin, and his sleeves trembled, revealing the gray skin beneath them. The bear-like man turned and walked towards the advanced troops. Don't make false promises here. When the fight starts, you should take care of yourself first. Your small body can be easily killed. A group of northerners laughed, and the expression of the man in Black Robe was shrouded in his robe. There is still one chapter left, which will be very late. It is recommended to read it tomorrow morning. Chapter 797. The troubled times are coming. At night, the Trinity Society's convoy chose a campsite beside the road. The place was chosen by Wang Jing. From Ren Xiaosu's point of view, the location of the campsite chosen by this medical master was quite particular. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun looked at each other, and he whispered, the terrain is flat and high, close to the water source, and avoids the mountain mouth leading to the water source. There are no wild animals passing by. You are an expert. Wang Jing instructed the doctors on how to set up the tent and said with a smile, we have been to Kong's a lot in recent years. You can come with me this time to see it. The world outside the barrier is much more vast than inside the barrier. You can also learn how to camp in the wilderness. Sooner or later, I will be too old to even walk. At that time, you will have to lead the team to Kong's. A middle-aged man adjusted his glasses and smiled. You are still strong and can take us on more trips. Wang Jing shook his head. No, my health is getting worse every year, and my legs are starting to hurt. I can't compare to you young people. Starting from barrier number 64, it is 310 kilometers away from Guangxi. Even if the car doesn't break down on the road, it will take 3 days to arrive. If something goes wrong, you have to repair the car yourself. I remember when I was young, there was a sudden heavy snowfall in spring. We thought it was spring and didn't bring anti-skid chains. As a result, we were trapped for half a month for 310 kilometers. We finally arrived at Guangxi after the snow melted completely. The doctors on the side all listened silently. Although these stories would not be of any practical help to everyone, they sounded very interesting. Ren Xiaosu was pretending to build a tent clumsily, while Yang Xiaojun lit a bonfire. As the saying goes, laymen watch the excitement, experts watch the doorway. Wang Jing has been camping for so many years and was a little surprised to see Yang Xiaojun's proficiency in making fire, but he didn't say much. After all, this girl just followed Ren Xiaosu and was not a member of the Trinity Society. Wang Jing didn't think much about it, he just thought that this girl was quite capable of working. He continued to talk about his past experiences. The road to and from Kong's was very dilapidated. We were trapped in the snow and couldn't move. At that time, we had a very bad relationship with Wang's. Wang's was unwilling to rescue us, probably thinking that it would be best if we would give up. We were short of food and clothing in the wilderness, and finally even the oil ran out. People could freeze to death in the car. You know Dong Li, the director of the first barrier hospital in barrier number 62. He used to be an expert in cardiac surgery, but later he froze 2 fingers and could never perform surgery again. Another time we encountered bandits. Fortunately, we were lucky. The other party saw that we were doctors and only robbed some medicines and let us go. Since then, our group of doctors from Trinity Society have practiced shooting when they returned. Didn't you ask me before why we had to carry guns for medical exchanges? It was for this. A middle-aged doctor next to him laughed and said, do you think that Mr. Wang always brings me with him when he goes out? Is it because I have a good medical level? No, it's because I have the best shooting score. Wang Jing talked a lot in the wilderness, basically all about interesting academic exchanges over the years, which was more vivid and more tiring than Ren Xiaosu had imagined. Ren Xiaosu asked curiously, "Don't you feel hardship in the past few decades? Why do you work so hard?" Wang Jing wanted to cultivate Ren Xiaosu, so he planned to say a few more words. "This is for a cause in our hearts. Nowadays, medicine is in decline and it is time to rebuild it. How can we work behind closed doors? And what kind of hardship is this for us?" In ancient mythology, there was a great man who passed by his home 3 times without entering. Do you know who he was? Ren Xiaosu really had no knowledge of ancient mythology, and there were no books of this kind in library number 88. He thought for a while and answered, "The god of wealth." Wang Jing was stunned for a moment. "Although your answer is wrong, it actually contains a little bit of life experience." However, at this moment, Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. He turned his head to look at Yang Xiaojin, and then found that the other party had also noticed. Someone was approaching quietly. Yang Xiaojin's hand had slowly reached behind her back, where a pistol was hidden. She whispered, "Shall we do it?" He held Yang Xiaojin down, then turned to Wang Jing and said with a smile, "Do you have a gun? Can you let me see it? I have never seen a real gun since I was a child." The middle-aged man who had just spoken said with a smile, "Don't play with guns casually. It would be bad if it goes off accidentally if you have never touched it." Wang Jing waved his hand, "It's okay, it's okay, just take a look. If you often walk on this road in the future, you will come into contact with guns sooner or later." At this time, everyone heard the subtext of Wang Jing's words, which meant that he would often take Ren Xiaosu to do medical exchanges in the future. As he said that, Wang Jing actually took out a pistol from his armpit. The other doctor actually carried a gun all year round, but Ren Xiaosu was not surprised. He and Yang Xiaojin had already discovered it. Ren Xiaosu smiled and said, "Is it loaded with bullets? Can I try to shoot?" The middle-aged man said, "You'd better go back to the ramparts shooting range to practice." As soon as he finished speaking, Ren Xiaosu saw a red dot on Liang Se's chest. A voice came from the woods north of the camp. "Everyone stand up and put your hands on your head, put your guns on the ground, or I will shoot him." Ren Xiaosu looked at the red dot on Liang Se's body. This person actually held a gun with a laser aiming. How could an ordinary person carry such a thing? Maybe he really encountered a deserter from the Kong family? The northerners began to migrate to the south gradually. It was no longer bandits who were raging in the wilderness, but deserters. It seemed as if the world was going to be in chaos, and it was filled with the smell of gunpowder. At this time, everyone in the camp stood up and put their hands on their heads. Liang Se was a little nervous. He looked around but didn't know who could save him. He glanced at the middle-aged man who claimed to be a good shooter, but saw that he had already put his gun on the ground. The people in the woods began to approach the camp. Ren Xiaosu whispered, "From the sound, there is only one person nearby, so I will take action directly. If he has companions hiding in the distance, you will deal with them." Yang Xiaojin nodded gently. To be honest, Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin really didn't take the deserter seriously. If he hadn't wanted to hide his identity and enter the Kong family, the armed deserter would have died long ago. The deserter walked out of the woods. His clothes had several holes on them, and his face was mixed with camouflage and dust, so dirty that his expression could not be seen clearly. Yang Xiaojin took a look at the other party's military uniform and confirmed, "It is indeed a deserter from the Kong family." The deserter walked slowly and said in a cold tone, "I'm sorry, everyone. I have no choice. The war in the north is too fierce. I have to go to the south to beg for food. Please give me all your money." At this time, the deserter looked at their vehicle. When he found the Red Cross logo on the car, he was overjoyed. "Are you doctors? There are medicines in the car? You, go and move all the medicines to a car." Liang Se was pointed at by a gun and had to do it. The deserter was excited when he saw the medicines in the car. With so many medicines, he could become a rich man in the south. Wang Jing and others did not speak the whole time. If the other party just needed medicines, then there was no need to resist on their side, just give it to him. Then he said to Liang Se, "Please move 2 barrels of spare oil from other cars and put them in the trunk." Liang Se continued to do so. Ren Xiaosu suddenly felt that this guy was really unlucky. He was the first one to be targeted when he was robbed. The deserter raised his gun and looked around the camp. At this time, he suddenly saw Mengnan and Yang Xiaojin. When he moved his eyes to the latter, he could hardly move them away. He said to Yang Xiaojin, Get in the car and drive honestly for me. I will release them when we get to the south. Bang! The deserter stared at his chest in a daze, and then slowly lay back. Liang Se looked at Ren Xiaosu with trembling body, but saw that Ren Xiaosu also had a terrified expression, and the muzzle of his gun was still smoking. Liang Se said nervously, "Haven't you touched a gun before?" Ren Xiaosu said tremblingly, "Yes, I haven't touched it. I admit that I have a gambling element, but he wants to threaten my girlfriend. One of you and him must die tonight." Liang Se didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but finally said solemnly, "Thank you. Thank you." Coin from Liang Se, +1. Chapter 798 Oath. For Liang Se, the other party helped him get rid of the crisis anyway. After all, the deserter had pointed his gun at him from beginning to end. If a conflict occurred, he would definitely be the first to die. Moreover, Liang Se felt that it was understandable for Ren Xiaosu to protect his girlfriend. If the other party wanted to take Meng Nan away, he would also go up and fight. Ren Xiaosu was very panicked at this time and handed the pistol back to Wang Jing. "I'm sorry, I didn't consider the consequences at the time. If I didn't kill him, I'm afraid it would implicate everyone." As a result, Wang Jing didn't take the pistol. He smiled and said, "You are right to shoot, but you don't have to return the gun to me. You keep it. This gun was left to me by my father. Now it is more suitable for you." Ren Xiaosu was surprised, "But I don't know how to use a gun." "It doesn't matter whether you can do it or not. What matters is whether you have the courage to shoot," Wang Jing said with emotion. When this was said, the middle-aged man next to him felt a little ashamed. At first, he didn't let Ren Xiaosu take the gun, but he threw the gun on the ground. It was Ren Xiaosu who resolved the crisis. Wang Jing had brought him out in the past few years because he was good at shooting, but what was the use of good shooting? Wang Jing waved his hand at him. "You don't need to feel embarrassed. After all, we are doctors. It's normal that we haven't killed anyone." Ren Xiaosu nodded secretly. Wang Jing was a very reasonable person, and what he said was not wrong. Wang Jing said to the middle-aged man and Liang Se, "Carry this man's body to the woods. After all, we have to stay here for one night. It's not good to leave it in the camp." "Okay," Liang Se nodded in agreement. The doctor's profession is a bit special. Ordinary people are afraid of death, but surgeons have seen too many deaths, so they are not afraid of death, but only of living people. Wang Jing looked at the north and sighed. "It seems that the world is really going to be in chaos." "Why do you say that, old man?" Ren Xiaosu asked. "You know that some people have been withdrawn from various hospitals recently?" Wang Jing asked. Ren Xiaosu nodded and pretended to know. In fact, these doctors were temporarily organized by Wang's family to join the army. Wang Jing said, "It is said that there are not enough military doctors, so the doctors in the fortress were sent to fill in. This is only the first batch, and there will be a second batch later. The Kong family and the Fire are fighting over there. Maybe the Wang family wants to prepare in advance, but I don't think the war will spread to the Wang family," Ren Xiaosu speculated. In his opinion, the unlucky ones should be the Kong family and the Fire. Now the Wang family is just waiting to reap the benefits. But Wang Jing shook his head after listening to his speculation. "I may know more about this than you." This group of doctors and nurses were transferred to the north. "North?" someone asked puzzledly. Ren Xiaosu observed everyone's expressions and found that everyone seemed to be hearing this news for the first time. Wang Jing explained, "We are going to the north, and to barrier number 176. It is said that new enemies have appeared there. Previously, some grassland people came to report that enemies were attacking from the northern part of the grassland." Grassland people. A doctor got angry when he heard these three words. They just killed so many people at barrier number 176. Can we believe their words? The grassland people did not lie this time. Wang Jing sighed. Wang's family later sent scouts north and did find traces of the enemy. Some people said that the herdsmen on the grassland had all moved east to avoid this disaster. Wang Jing is a medical master, and he usually comes into contact with dignitaries. Some of the bigwigs of the Wang family come to Wang Jing specifically for treatment, so his news must have come from the mouths of those bigwigs. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin looked at each other and whispered, "I know that there was a vast territory in the north before the disaster, but I saw a newspaper in the 88th wall saying that the disaster there was much more serious than ours. How come there are still people alive?" Yang Xiaojin replied, "I guess none of us have really been to the north. That should be speculation. After all, it is not a newspaper from Hope Media, and its credibility is greatly reduced. To be honest, I am afraid that no one in the entire Central Plains would have thought that one day there would be enemies coming from the northern part of the grassland. Originally, Ren Xiaosu thought that this Central Plains melee would be a matter between several financial groups, but he did not expect that there would be a twist. Ren Xiaosu looked at Wang Jing. Is this why you have been frowning all the time? Yes, we have been learning how to cure diseases and save lives all our lives, but in the end we find out how insignificant our abilities are in the face of war. You cure 10 people today, but just a small-scale war will kill thousands of people, and then there will be thousands of casualties, Wang Jing said. The young doctor at the side became a little negative after hearing this. Then is it useless for us to study medicine? Wang Jing patted his shoulder. How can it be useless? If we can save one person, we can save one person. Each of us will take an oath when we enter the profession. Do you still remember the oath you took at the beginning? The young doctor said, remember, health is related to life. I am determined to do my best to eliminate human diseases, help perfect health, maintain the sanctity and honor of medical skills, save the dying and the wounded, and fight for the physical and mental health of mankind for my whole life. At this point, the oath did not end. Wang Jing continued with a look of nostalgia. I volunteer to be a candle, burning from beginning to end, always bright. Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. Zhang Jinglin had also said to him what Wang Jing said. It turned out that this was the oath of doctors in the wasteland era. Only at this time could he remember that when Zhang Jinglin was first in Fortress 178, he was a medical soldier who was unwilling to fire a gun. At this moment, Ren Xiaosu felt an inexplicable respect in his heart, just like when he met Jiang Su. In the past, he always had a pessimistic attitude towards the world, but later he realized that the road he walked was too short and he met too few people, so he didn't know that there was light in this world. Wang Jing waved to everyone. Let's sit down and have dinner, and then rest early, and continue on our journey tomorrow. At this time, Liang Se and the middle-aged doctor named Sima Gang also came back. Ren Xiaosu winked at Liang Se and whispered, don't you like Magnon? The impact of the crisis is still there, and it is the time when girls' emotions fluctuate greatly. Have you heard of the suspension bridge effect? It means that a person's heartbeat will involuntarily speed up when he is in danger. When he meets another person at this time, she will mistake this heartbeat for the heartbeat of that other person. Go quickly. Yang Xiaojin glanced at Ren Xiaosu. He has a lot of tricks. Ren Xiaosu quickly explained, I read this in a book. Aren't we giving Liang Se some advice? We must put what we have learned into practice. Liang Se had also heard of the suspension bridge effect, and his eyes lit up immediately. He turned and walked towards Magnon, but saw Magnon sitting silently by the campfire, hugging her knees with her arms. It seemed that she was still in fear. Liang Se sat next to Magnon and whispered, are you scared? Magnon's expression relaxed a little. She nodded and replied, a little bit. In the past, when I was scared, I would listen to songs all night. When I first saw a corpse when I was studying medicine, I was so scared that I couldn't sleep all night, but as long as I listened to songs, I would not be so scared. This time I forgot to bring my Walkman. Can you talk to me? Liang Se became excited. No, I brought my Walkman. Ren Xiaosu. Yang Xiaojin. Then Ren Xiaosu saw Liang Se go to the cart to get the Walkman from Magnon, and then he sat by the fire. He suddenly felt that it was not unfair for this guy to be single. Chapter 799 Small Shrimp. Ren Xiaosu looked at Liang Se, who looked quite happy sitting next to the campfire. He asked in a puzzled manner, what are you happy about? The campfire made Liang Se's face orange-red, which looked somewhat festive. He smiled and replied, I'm happy that I can help Magnon. Ren Xiaosu was confused by these words, and he said speechlessly, how old are you this year? Liang Se replied, 25, what's wrong? Ren Xiaosu asked again, how many girls have you pursued over the years? Liang Se, 3, since I was 16, but I failed every time. After failing to pursue these 3 girls, did you understand something? Ren Xiaosu guided Liang Se to reflect on himself. As a result, Liang Se thought for a while and replied, I'm a good person. PFFT, this time even Yang Xiaojin couldn't stand it anymore. She said, you shouldn't have given her the Walkman just now. You couldn't have given it to her even if you had it. Didn't you hear her ask you to chat with her? Why give her a Walkman at this time? Liang Sen also reacted now. He slapped his thigh and said in annoyance, "Yeah, why didn't I think of it? What should I do now?" Ren Xiaosu comforted, "Go to bed." Liang Sen. This guy looked at Yang Xiaojin for help again. Yang Xiaojin thought for a while and said, "Be more proactive from today. You are not the type who can make girls fall in love at first sight. You can only make up for it through acquired efforts. The girl will definitely feel insecure away from her hometown along the way. You chat and interact with her more, and you will always leave a good impression." Ren Xiaosu sighed inwardly. It was the first time he saw Yang Xiaojin gossiping so much to outsiders. It seemed that Yang Xiaojin couldn't stand it anymore. But he whispered to Yang Xiaojin, "Am I the type that girls fall in love with at first sight?" Yang Xiaojin rolled her eyes and went to sleep in the tent. The next morning, Liang Ser woke up and hurried out of the camp to go to the toilet, and then went to the river to wash his hands. At this time, Mengnan also walked to the river. When Liang Se saw Mengnan, he remembered that Yang Xiaojin said last night that he should be more proactive, so he wanted to take the initiative to say hello. But he was nervous and didn't know what to say. After holding it in for a long time, he greeted Mengnan, "You peed on your hand too." Mengnan. Ren Xiaosu, who was watching all this not far away, sighed to Yang Xiaojin, "I always feel that these two people may go further and further under our guidance." In the morning, the convoy set off again, but not long after they left, there was a rustling sound in the woods in the north, and someone was walking through the woods. In the early morning sun, the light shines through the gaps between the leaves and onto the ground. The crackling sound of the electric current is unusually abrupt in the woods. A fully armed soldier with thick camouflage on his face says in the communication channel, "Save, the target has left. Save. Save." Soldiers from other directions also responded in the communication channel. At this time, someone in the headset said, "Group 1 will search for the bodies of the deserters and check for traces of the camp. Group 2 will deploy defenses." After that, the combat team in the woods sped up. 5 soldiers in khaki combat uniforms entered the camp and searched for any suspicious traces, while another 5 soldiers searched in the woods. The body of the deserter was found. The wound was on the left chest, but the heart was not hit. The shooting technique seemed very amateurish. There was nothing unusual in the camp, no suspicious marks, no traps. Although the camp was in a good location, there was no method for setting up tents at night, and the bonfires were arranged randomly, not like professional soldiers. The commander standing in the back was thinking quietly. The reconnaissance team he led came specifically for the Trinity Society, but his mission was not to assassinate these people, but to check in advance whether there were any suspicious people in the Trinity Society's convoy. Now is a special period, and Kong does not want any suspicious people to enter barrier number 31. Originally, this medical exchange should have been cancelled, and Kong had notified Wang Jing in advance, but Wang Jing insisted on going and replied to Kong, "If they are not allowed to exchange academics, then his old bones will sit in front of the gate of barrier number 31 until Kong agrees." The superiors did not seem to want to bear the relevant public opinion pressure. After all, the influence of the Trinity Society in the North has been increasing in recent years, and it has been increasingly recognized by the people. Kwang Erdong wants to leave a name in history and is particularly concerned about his reputation. If Wang Jing really died sitting in front of the fortress, the media would surely report this incident. Therefore, the field team of the 3rd Intelligence Department was dispatched. Their mission was to conduct advance reconnaissance. If they found suspicious people mixed in the academic exchange team, they would kill all the people in the team directly in the wilderness, and then disguise them as bandits, so that they would have nothing to do with the Kong family. Last night, they quietly stationed in the north. When the deserter came from the north, they also saw it, but they did not stop it. Instead, they deliberately let the deserter go, wanting to use this deserter to test it. If this deserter went on a killing spree, it would save them trouble. What did the lives of everyone in this academic exchange team have to do with him? As a result, they watched everything happen through the telescope, and then saw with their own eyes that Ren Xiaosu panicked and shot the deserter to death. On the surface, it seemed that there was nothing abnormal. Except that the deserter was a little stupid. The group of academic exchange team members behaved normally. "Captain, are we going to chase them?" a soldier asked in the communication channel. "Wait until I report what happened here to the commander," the commander said calmly. "For something like killing Wang Jing, we still have to wait for orders from above." He dialed the satellite phone and reported the situation here truthfully. The commander on the other end of the phone was silent for a long time and said, "Let them pass, and don't make any more trouble. I have also arranged people to check their identities at the number 31 barrier. You can report to the front line." Received. The commander hung up the phone. "Everyone, pay attention, pack up." The commander ordered us to report to the number 3 forward base and accept new tasks there. After that, this well-trained combat team quickly evacuated to the north. The number 3 forward base is one of the important forward bases of the Kong family facing the fire. Further north is the fire control area. After these people left, Lao Su, wearing a white mask, walked out from behind a big tree and silently looked at the direction where these people left. Ren Xiaosu discovered these people last night, otherwise he would not have needed to disguise himself so realistically. Originally, he wanted to kill these people directly, but thinking that his target was Kong Erdong, it would be better not to alert the enemy because of these small shrimps. However, this group of people was also very cruel, and they deliberately let the deserters come to kill people. Chapter 800, Is the Northwest really going to develop? Seeing this combat team made Ren Xiaosu realize that the situation inside the Kong family was more tense than he had imagined. The vigilance of these people had reached a perverted level. Therefore, it might be difficult to assassinate Kong Erdong in the future. Ren Xiaosu discussed with Yang Xiaojun and decided to save Wang Yun first. Whether Kong Erdong could be killed depended on luck. At this time, the big liar was walking on the street of barrier number 31. The fortune-telling white flag in his hand had disappeared, but his clothes were still shabby, looking like a down-and-out old man. The big liar turned left and right on the long street and walked east along Lishan North Road. On the way, the big liar also paid for 2 sesame cakes and ate them while walking. While walking, he looked at the streets and buildings of barrier number 31, as if he was visiting. After walking for 2 kilometers, the big liar suddenly turned into a small alley on the left, and finally stopped when he found a small barber shop. This barber shop is very conspicuous in the shabby alley. There is an LED sign with the word massage hanging at the door, flickering. The barber shop was converted from the first floor of a residential building with a total of 5 floors. The big liar looked up and did not enter the corridor until he was sure that there was a pot of clivia on the balcony on the 2nd floor. After arriving on the 2nd floor, the big liar took out a key to unlock the door of household 201. The furnishings in the house were no different from those of an ordinary family. After entering the house, the big liar first observed the room. After confirming that no one was in the house, he went to the kitchen to find a rolling pin to knock on the ground. There was a sound of dong dong dong, and a tile in the middle of the living room made a hollow drum sound. The big liar gently picked up the edge of the tile with his fingernail, and the whole tile was lifted up by him. But at this moment, something unexpected happened. A flying needle shot out from under the tile. The big liar was hit by the flying needle when he couldn't dodge it. The big liar looked up suddenly. The steel needle pierced his cheek and swayed back and forth, which looked very funny. The big liar cursed and said, catch me, it's wrong to disfigure me." As soon as the voice fell, the big liar heard the sound of breaking windows upstairs, followed by the sound of rough cloth and ropes rubbing against each other. 8 fully armed combatants actually jumped down from the roof with ropes, and crashed into the 2nd floor from windows in different directions. "Don't move. Get down. Hold your head with both hands," the combatants roared. But the big liar ignored it and rushed towards the balcony like a ghost with the muzzle of the gun. The combatants on the balcony fired decisively, but to their surprise, the bullets did not hit the big liar at all. The big liar's footsteps were heavy. When he rushed into the balcony, the tiles on the floor of the house were trampled into a mess by him. The combatant didn't have time to think, and the big liar had already crashed into his arms in this narrow space. In a flash, the combatant felt that his internal organs were completely crushed and his throat was oppressed, as if he was going to vomit out his heart, liver, spleen, stomach and kidneys that could not bear the oppression. The next moment, the combatant was hit by the big liar, and the two flew out of the balcony together and fell straight into the alley outside. The big liar exhaled a foul breath. "You want to catch me with this little ability?" He looked coldly at the combatants who were surrounding him from both ends of the alley, his muscles knotted and bulging, but before he could break through, the big liar's face changed drastically and pulled out the steel needle on his face, and slowly fell to the ground as if he couldn't believe it. Before closing his eyes, he could still hear the shouts of the combatants around him. "The target has fainted, The target has fainted, the mission is completed, notify the secret prison to receive the A-level target. These people grabbed the big liar and lifted him into a black car. The person in charge of guarding him was still worried, so he gave the big liar an injection of anesthesia before he breathed a sigh of relief. The car drove eastward, and the destination was the secret prison at the easternmost end of barrier number 31. It was originally a comprehensive training hall before the disaster. Later, it was hollowed out underground and transformed into the most gloomy and terrifying place of the Kong family. In the words of the Kong family themselves, no prisoner who entered the secret prison has ever come out. When the convoy drove to the secret prison, the gate of the prison slowly opened to allow the convoy to pass quickly. The surface of this secret prison looks like a huge stadium, but there is a road in the middle of the stadium that slopes downward, and it seems to have no end in the darkness. The person in charge of escorting the big liar met with the warden of the secret prison in the venue and quickly handled the transfer procedures. This person's identity is unknown. He should be the backbone of other intelligence forces. We caught his subordinate, the young man who was sent in before. This time we waited for him in his subordinate's room. During the arrest, he was extremely brave. My intelligence department has assessed his danger level as B. I hope you will take good care of him. Later, the superior will come to personally interrogate him. The warden nodded. Don't worry, the prisoners who come to me can't get out even if they have wings. Desperados and extraordinary people can only be guinea pigs honestly. After speaking, the warden waved his hand and someone carried the big liar into the underground. These people walked through the long prison, and the prisoners on both sides of the corridor stood up and scrambled through the cells to see which unlucky guy came in. The prison gradually became noisy. The warden frowned slightly. The guard beside him immediately raised his baton and swung it. One prisoner grabbed the railing of the cell with his palm, and the baton broke the prisoner's fingers. At this time, Wang Yun was standing silently in his cell, looking at the warden and others who were passing through the corridor. When he saw the person being carried, Wang Yun's face turned blood red, and the veins on his neck gradually bulged. You have come to this day, you have come to this day. Ha 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 ha. I tell you, you are so wicked, you know that. Wang Yun was furious and laughing wildly in the cell, but he didn't say a word. The warden said to the prison guard beside him, record this matter. Wang Yun may know this prisoner. Let the intelligence department suddenly interrogate Wang Yun. Maybe there will be new clues immediately. At this moment, Wang Yun was banging on the door of the cell violently. He wanted to tell the warden that he knew this big liar. He could explain the ins and outs of this person and make meritorious service for his crime. But at this moment, Wang Yun was suddenly stunned. The big liar, whose hands and feet were shackled with special shackles, was originally in a coma, but the moment he heard Wang Yun's voice, he opened his eyes and blinked at Wang Yun strangely. When Wang Yun looked over again, the big liar had recovered his fainting appearance, as if he, Wang Yun, had just had hallucinations. Wang Yun was no longer gloating or angry. He was a smart man among smart people, so he understood in just a moment that this big liar was here to save him. Wang Yun looked out the window in silence. Was he really going to make a big fuss in the northwest? It turned out that the other party had pitted himself in just to cut off his retreat. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.